Let's go.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
We got food next to the woods, so
A lot of necks.
lot of wood.
Well, my neck of the woods is Texas, and it is a lovely neck of the woods. Stars out here. Life is good. Nice. How about now? Good to go?
How about now?
Cool.
Nice.
Okay, I had this too.
Yeah. He is 18 months. You gotta go to bed. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I've been doing a little bit of that. That's really like my main form of like exercise, other than just running. So, yeah, once the gyms opened back up, I was, convinced that they were taking precautions. I'm like, I'm gonna go put my hands on the walls and climb them. No, it's been great because I really enjoy it. It's like a full kick my ass workout, but I don't feel like it because I'm like thinking about like the problem in front of me. Yeah, so it's been great and cool and keeping me less fat. I wouldn't say not bad.
Always trying to do something. I mean, I exercise regularly, but it's just like push-ups and sit-ups and some ab stuff. Pretty much stuff I can do in my house. But I do have a gym here where I live. I live in Florida. I'm in St. Augustine, but I'm moving to Austin, Texas, where Chris is actually in like a month. So, yeah, looking forward to the relocation. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good.
We're excited to have him here.
Yeah.
You want to come? Pretty much. I think Chris could probably explain it because he was there at the beginning of it. I kind of came to the later part of developing of the game. But,
Yeah, it's basically I saw Brandon posting some music, just clips of music that he was writing on Instagram, and it sounded kind of like heavier music. And I was like, "Hey, man, what's the plan with this? I'd like to do some vocals on these songs. It sounds pretty sweet." And that kind of got the ball rolling. And pieces here, pieces there. Eventually, it turned into a song that we were able to send around to the guys, and I think that kind of that was like the blood in the water. As soon as we heard, well, for me at least, as soon as I heard Evan's vocals on the song, like the whole thing was completed. That was it. That was the blood in the water. I was ready. Where did you see Vanna play back in the day? Out of curiosity. Oh my God.
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That was an epic venue. Every show there was just complete mayhem.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure they stopped having shows there because they were getting sued too many times by kids who got hurt stage diving or or getting hit in the pit or something, and they were like, "We can't keep doing this. Like, we're a church. We can't face any lawsuits." So ultimately, I think that's really big. I might be wrong, but that's the last thing that's about it.
Really?
It's too hard. It's kind of the curse of like DIY hardcore shows, or even New England, like at all those kind of spaces. Like it would only last as long as someone didn't, break something there at the VFW or at the Knights of Columbus or wherever someone had just been like, hey, we're bringing your ball. This is a good place. They don't hate us yet. And then finally, then there would be like enough noise complaints or some violent thing or someone getting hurt, whatever. We're like, oh, this place is now no-go. Let's find the next one. And I think that burn through all the VFW. Or maybe not. I mean, maybe kids just like stop having that DIY attitude. Or maybe they still are, and I'm just overcoming it.
So I think a lot of what happened with that was like there were people that ended up sort of taking over as like a booking promotion, I guess, if you will. So like then all of a sudden it wasn't like one person booking shows. It was like you had to go through someone to get in contact with someone, and then you had to sell tickets and stuff. It was like I was never in anything that was really big, so it was always like I always had to peddle tickets.
Yeah, that's about. Did you like do a lot of like thirsty entertainment shows?
Oh my god, I am so glad. Everyone laughs. Yep.
Thirsty. Yeah, so like speaking of it, the Alpine Grove, where was that? In New Hampshire. What town was that? You would know. You're a New Hampshire guy, right?
Alpine Grove. I'm trying to remember.
We played there twice. Once was on the Atticus tour. It was gorgeous, and that I think that might have been the craziest and best show of the whole tour. I'm not gonna like pat ourselves in the back too, probably because the band was strong. But it was insane, not just because there were like a lot of people there, but because it was like all the other shows in the tour were like at real venues and stuff, and we're like not too full, for being honest. But this one was like over full. It was like for like bar mitzvahs and like weddings and shit. It was just. That made us really proud to like show these bands from the rest of the country like how New England throws down. Just like give us a space and we'll fill it and just fucking wreck it.
That's so awesome. I do remember back in the day the ICC, like the fire marshals and shit showing up and being like, I'm pretty sure you're 300 fucking people over what you're supposed to have in this size building. You know what I mean? I mean, I watched you guys play with August Burns Red. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so we rushed to that show, and when we got in there, I was like, I'm pretty sure if there's a fucking fire, we're donezo, man. This is like a giant oven right now, and everyone's like, oh, don't worry, everything's fine. We only sold enough tickets to, and I'm like, what do you mean you sold enough tickets? I'm pretty sure you double sold tickets. Like, Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Someone's like, don't use the Lord's name in vain. I'm like, oh, we're in a church. I forgot. My bad.
Yeah, speaking of overselling and like DIY stuff, it was like our second actual like tour at the band, and it was with Parkway Drive was their first U.S. tour, and so we were on like the East Coast end of it, and they either had like a New England date fall through, or they were counting on us for one.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend at the time, now wife, she actually rented the QBCC in Worcester, and we not only filled it, but like it was like way over capacity. And since she was running the show, she had to have a police detail, and they were downstairs, and the show was upstairs.
Mhm.
She just either herself or had one of our friends just constantly talk to the cop and just be like, yeah, this, and that. And he's like, how many people are up there? And they're like, oh, like 200 or something. Like it's like if you went up, you're like, oh my god. Like I don't know how he didn't get the message because like the ceiling was bending if you were downstairs and stuff. Like definitely unsafe. And like someone's job the whole night was just to keep him occupied, ask him about stories, like kiss his ass, whatever. Just don't let him upstairs. Every once in a while, he's like, I see a lot of people coming. They're like, oh, these are people that already were in. They're just coming back in. And like, oversold the shit out of it. It was pandemonium. It was so much fun.
That's so funny.
That's so great. So, like, let me ask my first big question, okay? How the hell did you all come together? Past bands. What were the past bands that you were in that you played in? Because you didn't all start off playing metal, I'm assuming. I mean, Evan, your Wind and Sails is like my New England City and Color, so I listen to that very often. I love it. Vanna and INSPIRIT, I love both of these projects very much, and like I said, Vanna was just like a, just really a staple for all of us. So, like, if you wanted heavy music, like 13 Years of Victory, I played in 13 Years of Victory, so, like, it was pop punk, and then there was, like, why is there this breakdown? And we were like, well, if you listen to Curses, we really like this. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's, So it was.
As far as Vanna goes and us all getting together, like, I think we all were in, like, local band-ish type things when we were, like, in our teens, but we were young in Vanna. Like, we were all, I feel like we were 18, 19 when we all met and started doing stuff together. So, like, before Vanna, I was in a pop punk band in high school called the Short Bus Specials. And
I've never heard that.
yeah, that was the pop punk band I was in. It was like a 3-piece pop punk band, very like Alkaline Trio influence.
Okay.
And then I like there was nothing that really like I had a couple bands that got a little bit heavier, but they were still like 3 pieces. And one of them was called like Death or Aldona or something like that. They were like weird. Nothing, never did anything or went anywhere.
Nightmare Bear for a minute?
Yeah, I screamed in a grindcore band from Providence, Rhode Island called Nightmare Bear, but I only did that for like 6 months.
Nightmare Bear? I fucking love that name.
It was no guitar. It was synth and bass distortion and drums and screaming.
That was so art school back then. Back when me and Nick and Chris were going to Mass Art in Boston. I wasn't in any bands you would have ever heard of because I was in like cover bands and weird, jam bands. I was also a jazz band geek, like in high school. But we had various names that we cycled through. One was Steve Sanders Ride, which was like an obscure sexual term. We played the pep rally and the teacher made like a huge sign for us that said Steve Sanders Ride and hung it up in the gym while we were playing. And we were like, she can never find out what that means. And, another one was Slime Dance 5 in the 77s, which I think our guitarist just threw out one day. And we're like, yep, let's go with that for this performance. Arva was another one named after the Super Troopers. And the one that we did the longest was Transient Hero and the Liquid Remedy. That was like super jammy, but also metal. I don't know.
I remember that name.
That's a really cool name. I like that.
It was fun.
I'm gonna reach into the bag of tricks.
Vanna was like my first real band, and it's been just pretty much the only band I've been in. I was in a metal band with my friend at the beginning of Vanna for like a real quick moment I think it was called The Called.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was super metal. We played like one show. I think we might have played with Vanna one time.
Mm-hmm.
I played like in that band like 2 or 3 shows, and I recorded like an EP with them. I don't even know whether it is. That was it.
Brandon was in there before Vanna even got started. Like they were friends of ours. Alex, the singer, lived with Nick and I in our first apartment where we essentially got Vanna going. No, he wasn't with us.
No, he was in your second one. He lived next door to me.
He lived next.
I didn't know him at that point. We met him at a party at your house, but then he's like, "Where do you live?" I'm like, "Oh, here." He's like, "I'm your next door neighbor." So we were just like waving at each other.
Yeah, you guys were on Hillside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys were
Mission Hill.
right around the corner. Yeah.
Good old Mission Hill.
Good old.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Hindsight, man.
So you mean like Mission Hill over by like where Brigham is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to work at Brigham, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Many moons ago.
Mm-hmm.
This was also many moons ago.
It was.
Almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy to say?
So fucking weird. God.
But you know what's really cool though is you guys don't look old.
Hey, thanks.
Take that,
Thanks, man.
right? You don't
Can't
look
see my gray
old.
hair in this lighting.
Yeah.
See, and you were complaining about the lighting earlier. You sure it looks okay? I was like, yeah, you look great. You're shining,
Turn
buddy.
the light off.
It's only in the pubes.
Yeah.
Old gray bush.
My bottom half is super old.
There you go.
It's like a one of those bushes that like the rolling.
Oh, a tumbleweed?
Tumbleweed. I was like the rolling bush, tumblebush.
Tumblebush.
Yeah. Cartoon bush.
So, local influences. Who influenced you guys to start playing in general? I mean, like, I know, and speaking of Brendan, when I first heard Therefore I Am, I freaked the fuck out because I was like, this dude is doing backflips and spins and shit, and I had never seen that other than the band Story of the Year, and I'm like, oh, they probably rehearse that all the time. And then I'm watching Brandon on stage slamming around. I'm like, he's not missing a single beat. This is amazing. This isn't even just show.
I'm a big Story of the Year fan.
Oh, was he really?
Oh yeah.
That's exactly where we got it.
That's pretty awesome.
I gotta give a lot of credit to Therefore I Am. I feel like that was they were our brothers, like from the beginning, and I think there were a lot of times where we wouldn't have had a show unless it was for Therefore I Am, and probably vice versa. But in terms of like influence and just like friendship in the beginning for local bands, Therefore I Am was a huge one for us. And there's a giant list, but I would put them at the top in terms of.
And definitely lost for words too, because they had been doing shows for years. Like they'd been, by the time Vanna started, they had already been a band for like probably 5 or 6 years, and they were just super, like, especially Maddie. You know how Maddie is, like, super personable and excitable and like positive. He was just stoked when I remember I first met him at Evan and Nick's apartment, and he was just like stoked to like meet us and like stoked to talk about the scene. And like I think we probably even got a show that night, like with him. Like he's like,
oh, that's super
like,
cool.
So definitely lost words, and Therefore I Am. Francine and her Ruby Slippers. I remember like
Yes.
they were big.
Trios.
Yep.
We listened to so much Trios in the van.
Oh yeah.
On those first couple of tours. My goodness. I have memories of driving through it must have been in like Utah or something, like just like sheer rock walls in the desert, listening to Trios on fucking repeat. And
Hell yeah, man.
And as far as like other bands that were local, like New England, that like influenced like my musical taste, but like I wasn't like friends with them or whatever. It was like Converge, Cave In. Like those were definitely like big influences on me. Like in high school, like when I first even discovered underground heavy music and stuff. So like, and then when I met Evan and Nick, they were really into like Under Oath and Norma Jean and the Chariot. So that like kind of all like fused together, and other stuff too. We always listened to all kinds of like emo stuff. I remember like when we first bonded, we were talking about like Deep Elm bands and like Planes Mistaken for Stars and like Cross My Heart, all those bands, like screamo stuff. And I think when we started writing, we're just like, let's just throw it all together. Like, let's just play whatever we want. We kind of started to do that.
I dig that. That's really cool. I like when people put everything together and it turns out the way you want it to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, with the whole receiving end of Sirens and, you know, Francine and everything like that, I wanted to bring up Francine because I've been following Kayum since Francine, and he's actually coming on with Mob Candy in a couple weeks.
Oh, it's
but like,
cool.
I've always kept in touch with him, and I always feel like that creepy local show kid of being like, we see each other all the time. We're always like, hi, buddy, like really excited, like we've known each other forever. But it's like, I've just been following you since day one. So I remember watching them play in the living room in Providence and just being so into their music because they were so different. And his voice absolutely just, it just pulled me right in. I was like, this dude sounds like nobody else. This is perfect.
Yeah,
He's
he's,
so
he's
talented.
awesome, man. He's such a good guy too. He's like such a sweetheart. But yeah, wow.
And Kayum does jujitsu now. I gotta call that.
Really?
out. Yeah, he does jujitsu
awesome.
now.
That is so awesome.
I think he's at Henzo Gracie Providence or Henzo Gracie Rhode Island, one of the two. But yeah, he's in the cult. You'll all be there one day. Don't worry.
Oh,
I'm actually going back to rolling soon. I had a little bit of a back issue, and getting folded up like fucking origami stopped working for me. So I had
Yeah,
to stop for a little while. And I'm like, oh, these 16-year-olds are really kicking the shit out of me. I gotta take it easy. I gotta go to work, you know?
Yeah.
What are some big famous influences for you guys?
I mean, as far as famous,
I'm talking like, everybody talks about how they were influenced by Metallica, and then you get Trivium. You know what I mean? I want to hear.
all the time.
Yeah, I want to know like. I interviewed Narrowcast last week, and I never would have thought I would have heard Phil Collins come out of his mouth. I want to know. That's what I mean. See, I seen you just shake your heads like, ooh. I want to know the deep-rooted musician that you like. You know what I mean? I'm looking more towards something that people aren't going to listen to on the radio or.
So, like, obviously, Every Time I Die, but like,
Oh
that's
my god,
in
I
our
love them.
realm.
I love them.
So I was really influenced, and maybe you can hear it in my bass playing style if you're a nerd and you're a bass player as well, and you can.
Mhm.
Like, I was really influenced by like 311 and like Incubus and like Primus and Stone Temple Pilots, like all like 90s alternative, but like had like really strong bassists. So that was like my contribution that wasn't in the heavy realm. I know Nick would say Steely Dan. I don't know if that translated ever. But,
For sure.
That's pretty cool.
what about you, Evan?
I listened to a lot of Tool
Whitney Houston?
back in the day.
Oh my god,
Whitney
I
Houston's
love
great, man. Yeah, big Tool fan. I listened to a lot of like old emo too. Like really, I feel like I grew up in the emo scene more than heavy music, and I kind of like got introduced to heavy music later on.
Well,
Like, I remember
Austin
being in
Austin was good for
college. Yeah. Well, there's the venue emos, which I think the name is unrelated to the genre, but
Right.
there was still a lot of emo shows there. Yeah, it was great growing up in that scene. But like for some reason, Austin didn't get like the heavier tours, I guess, like the heavier acts coming down here. So it wasn't until way later on that I discovered how much I loved heavy music. Like I listened to things like Norma Jean like way back in the day and Finch and stuff, but really like once I discovered Every Time I Die, much later than I probably should have, that was when it really that was a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And then moving to New England, like going to shows, playing shows really, but being at a New England hardcore show, I had never experienced anything like that before. So bands like Black My Heart, I know I'm getting back into the local scene, but
That's okay.
still,
That's okay.
On Broken Wings, Black My Heart, bands like that I've never heard anything like that before. That was super influential on me in the early days.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
So we got Richard James in the chat, and
Hell yeah.
most of the heavy bands go to San Antonio. He's learned since moving here.
That
So-
makes sense.
Yeah, White Rabbit.
Yeah. Early,
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the White Rabbit.
early on in our touring career, like San Antonio, White Rabbit specifically, was like one of the first home away from homes. Where we like would show up and like almost sell it out, but like kids would go crazy. We'd like kill it in merch, and we're like, "What's going on with San Antonio?" And like Texas in general, San Antonio was always like a step above.
Really?
Yeah. And Austin was always fun to play, but they weren't always the best shows.
Austin's just a weird scene, right? Like it's like you got a lot of hippies here. I grew up on country music. I still listen to a ton of country music, but it's like there's a certain genre block here in Austin that you just like you don't get certain shows like you do in other markets like Houston or San Antonio. So you got to travel a little bit to get the good stuff.
And traveling in Texas, you might as well plan a whole day around it, correct? Because, I mean, things aren't as close as people think they are.
Yeah, depending on where you're going.
It's fucking huge and flat. And like, buckle in, find a movie, go to sleep, whatever. Autopilot. Where's autopilot to get through Texas, man?
Yeah, no kidding. It's enough sunshine, too. You could do a lot of solar recharging on cars.
For real.
I'm trying to think.
Tom Petty.
Ooh,
Yeah.
there we go.
I mean, party dress.
Yeah. And we sampled some Tom Petty lyrics.
That's pretty awesome.
Who I think we've read this, and I might be making this up. I have a vague memory. We like researched that lyric, and Tom Petty actually borrowed it from someone else.
Really?
But let's just say that's true and just not question it or Google it.
And there's people who have borrowed it from us too, so don't Google that either.
This shit.
For the children.
So,
think about that question.
yeah, I'm curious, Evan.
Because I grew up in like pop punk bands like Millencolin and Lagwagon, and the Ataris were like a really big band for me before I got into like heavier stuff. And then finding Deep Elm and getting into like Planes Mistaken for Stars, and then No Idea Records, like Hot Water Music and 12 Hour Turn and I Hate Myself and True North, which were like just all screamy, kind of free-form, screamy, melodic, like emo with anger behind it.
Okay.
And then like moving into, then we got into like the mosh stuff like in Boston, but I was never really into like breakdowns. I got into like Poison the Well, at the drive-in, that kind of stuff. Converge. Thursday was like a big one. Like I saw Thursday, many, many times. And their live performance was like, I would just have goosebumps the whole time because it was like
Thursday Live is church, man.
Yes.
I remember that so vividly. It was church. That like hit me to my core.
Yeah.
Like, and that made me like just want to do that kind of stuff. And then getting into like the heavier stuff, like I met Nick and we were into like Reggie and the Full Effect and Get Up Kids and The Anniversary and those, all of those Equal Vision and like Saves the Day, obviously.
Drive-through records and stuff.
Yep, Drive-through. Yep. But then we like got into like heavy shit, like Hot Damn, Every Time I Die. Like that record was like, oh my god, just flipped things on its ear.
Oh.
And then we just were mixing all these. Boys Night Out was another band that we were like super into. From
I was really into Boy Sets Fire too. That was like my first, my introduction for me. Like that album. That's probably not their popular one. The Day the Sun Went Out is like my like hardcore Bible. When I listen to that, it just takes me back. Like that was the first time I ever heard music and saw it like live at a show, where like it was like so in your face and raw and energetic, but also like you would talk about like all the social and like political issues and everything that going behind it. And I'm just like, what is this world I never knew existed, coming from, rural suburban Connecticut?
There's probably like some small collection of compilations. Like I would bet there's probably 4 compilations that all of these bands like came from, right? That, like we probably shared these compilations in common and discovered all these bands. Because I think I remember all the bands that you guys have named from, it's not like I was like swimming in compilations. I had a couple of go-tos and that I discovered everything from.
Yeah.
Well, the Victory Style, that was a big one.
Mm-hmm. The Atticus ones.
That was a good one.
I'll go around, of course. Yeah.
There was this, and maybe this is too obscure, but I remember I saw it. It was like the first hardcore CD I saw in like a Borders Books and Music, and I was like, "What?" It was a compilation, double disc, called Area 51, and it was like 2 discs of bands from the U.S. and Europe, from like all these major at the time like hardcore records, like a lot of Victory stuff, and Ferret Records was on there and stuff. And like bands from Sweden and Belgium, but also like New Jersey, like the whole taste of the world. And I found like so many bands like Disembodied, Warzone, Fahrenheit 451, like a bunch of wild bands back then from that one. And then I just like followed those bands and followed more comps that they were on and like just kept going.
Well, you know what else was a big compilation was Vagrant.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, you guys are kicking back the new wave up?
Oh, yeah.
The Nueva, I started with this one, is delicious. That's easy drinking.
So that's...
I'm into it.
Oh, see? Smart man. So that beer there is like the Corona that we made up there. So we went with like old-fashioned using corn and everything like that. And then Evan is drinking Here Kitty Kitty because at the...
That's my next one.
Yeah, there you go.
It's awesome, man. It's so good.
I opened this one, too.
Ooh, Quest. So that's... Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's that?
My Ryan fucking Bingham koozie here. Ryan Bingham.
Dingham. It's pronounced Dingham.
Dingham. Wait, so what's exotic about the Here Kitty Kitty?
The only
Oh,
thing
it smells it.
Yeah, it tastes like mangoes. So there's no mangoes in it, but the hops that were put into it make it taste a lot like mangoes and pineapple.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I was thinking it was going to be like a fruit forward one for sure.
And then we made that at the beginning of the pandemic because everyone was obsessed with fucking Carol Baskins and Tiger King. And like every day we came in, I tried to like just to make myself laugh in the morning. So like brewing beer, sometimes people start later, but I liked to start at like 4 a.m, and it was a 1-hour drive to get to where I was working. So I drive all the way up, get there at 4 a.m. and mash in to start making beer. But I'd play like remixes people made of a fucking Carol Baskins, like a bass drop song or like dubstep just to make people laugh when they would walk in. Because me and my boss are huge metal fans, so we'd have like, you guys on and All That Remains and Darkest Hour and, just metal going on. And then when front of house came in, they were like, this is real aggressive. I think you should shut this off. It's not family friendly. So me and my boss would be like, fuck, like there goes, the last 3 hours we're going to have to listen to 90s radio bop. I'm going to hear Eiffel 65 fucking 12 times. And the Blues Travelers, The Hook, at least 4 more,
Solid song.
This is a good song. I love Blues Traveler.
The Hook brings you back.
Yeah, exactly. Richard James is cheating and drinking whiskey instead of beer tonight. So
Richie, how dare you?
we can cheers one over to Richard. So what are some favorite shows and venues you played starting from when you guys started out to when you guys were at your peak? Like, I want to hear the dredges of playing at VFWs and YMCAs I booked for you guys, and I want to hear the good parts of the White Rabbit, so...
I look back fondly on the VFW shows and, the hall shows in New England back in the day. I think that, there was part of me that dreaded them sometimes, but they always turned out to be a good time. I'm thinking back to, what was that? It was an Ashland fishing game.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Seekonk, American Legion.
Seekonk.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The CCC or what was it? The North Attleboro VFW. That one had a bunch of great ones until we got it shut down. But
QVCC and ICC were always I always look forward to those shows. Those are always great.
What's cool too is I have a nice little way to remember these. My girlfriend at the time, now my wife, she was a photography major at Mass Art, and she did a whole project where she went on tour with us and kind of went to the local shows and took pictures of the bands and stuff, but also was trying to capture the vibe and would take pictures of just the other details that you see only at VFW shows, this giant painting of Christopher Columbus next to a snack stand with some dude hanging out of it, a bunch of scene kids kind of hanging out in the corner, and all these guitars across the floor and all that stuff. And yeah, that's what it was like. It's not pro at all. It's super DIY and janky, and it's just I look at those pictures and I remember them fondly. It was just so we're just making up as we go, and it was kind of part of the vibe. Fun.
That's really cool. I remember that a lot because I remember, excuse me, Jesus. I remember a lot of friends coming to shows and telling them it's a show, and they're like, "No, you mean a concert?" And I'm like, "No, it's a show." And they're like, "I don't get it. I don't get it." And I'm like, "Tomato, fucking potato, man. It's it's the same thing." So they come to the show and they're like, "Where's the bar?" And I'm like, "There's no bars at a VFW. Downstairs, if you want to go hang out with the folks,
It's
we
in
can
the
do that."
in the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Got a case of natty ice.
Yeah, out the trailer. But as far as like good venues though, and again, this is like a small step up. Like VFW, not a venue, but a venue, actual place where it's a music venue. I think we were talking about this the other day in our little group chat. The living room in
Oh,
that was like our mecca. Like R.I.P. Obviously, it's long gone.
One of the most special places, for sure.
Dude.
I get chills just thinking about living room.
Yeah, and shout out to Mike D if he's ever seeing this or whatever. He was the one who booked us all those times at Living Room and really threw us a bone so many times and like got us started. Like not only helped us like book our own like shows or local shows and stuff. If there were big bands like Every Time I Die or who else did we play with? I'm forgetting the bands, but like he would be like, "Hey, Vanna, you guys want to get on the show?" And we're like, "Fuck yeah!" And like introduced us to so many more the kids and fans and stuff. But that was like our home venue for a long time. Like we're a Boston band, but like anyone who grew up in Boston around that time going to shows, or even now, really, like there's no like hardcore venues in Boston proper. Like those are shut down a long time ago. Like the Rat, if you were the generation before us, probably
the Rat's Keller.
one of them. Yeah, but that wasn't around by the time we were a band. So like all the Boston venues were VFWs outside of the city, in like suburbs. So like Providence was like our like real like home venue. Later on, it would become the Palladium in Worcester, which is like still like upstairs and downstairs, like one of the sickest places to play and see shows. Like I'd grown up seeing shows there, so when we got to finally play, it was like an honor, and then it became like our own venue.
I love getting hit by ceiling tiles in that fucking place.
Oh,
That's how you know the show's going extremely well. It's super heavy, enough to get those ceiling tiles to come down.
if no ceiling tiles come down, then did you even have a show?
Yeah, exactly. You get a refund. It's on your ticket. Ryder Luna is in the chat. Hello, huge fan of Vanna and loving INSPIRIT. So
Hell yeah.
I don't think you guys understand the magnitude of how excited people are that you're back, but people aren't putting two and two together and going like, hey, I think these guys were all in a band together before. Like, they think it's something new. Maybe it's because you have a beard now, Evan, that it's throwing them off.
Maybe.
That's it. That's all the confusion.
It's all the confusion. It's Evan's beard.
Hey, Clark Kent, sailed on.
Exactly.
On, and he's like, who's Superman? They're like, oh,
I'm not that guy. I got glasses. I walk with a hunch.
And I have a mustache now, and granted, I've had it since like 2009 or 8. But if you were a fan of the band and you checked out in 2007, you would know who I am.
I don't know. You had a pretty interesting eBay going with your mustache when it was in resin. I remember that so fucking fondly. It was one of my favorite things I've ever seen.
True story. Like too many years after that. That was like 2010 maybe that I did that. Several years later, I'm talking like Vanna has had a career. We like had our plateau, broke up. Went through many changes and members and stuff. I would meet people and just casually bring up, like, oh yeah, I used to be in the band. They're like, oh yeah, what band? And I'm like, Vanna. And they're like, you that guy that sold his mustache on eBay? I'm like, that's still a thing? Like, several years later, like, you said Vanna, you're like, oh yeah, the guy with the mustache, you sold it on eBay. I'm like, that's wild. Like, that still comes up.
Dude, it's so funny.
So there were a couple times where when you had it curled and everything, I mistook you a couple times for Andy from Every Time I Die.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've heard that before.
Dude, that happened a bunch. And it was even crazier when we met them. Like, met Every Time I Died, became friends with them, like, on Warped Tour, I think was the first time. And I became good friends with Andy. Like, he just was like, hey, you, like, you look like a big guy. Like, let's hang out. And like, we started like out together and like just like hanging out and like just like crushing popsicles and stuff. And
Sweet.
and we would be hanging out with her, and like people would come up to me and have long conversations talking about how much they love my band and like like it's so influential and like they want a picture with me. And then I find out somehow like there's some tip, I forget how it happened, but this happened many times where I realize they think they're talking to Andy from Every Time I Die. But we've been having this long hard conversation. I'm just like, oh god. The peak of it was the drummer for I'm forgetting the band. It was this girl singer and she had a drummer. Kay Flay. She had a drummer and her drummer was talking to me. He was one of those guys and I got a picture of him and then he posted it and said like, got to meet one of my idols, like Andy from Every Time I Die, posted it on, and like I think even tagged him, and then Andy and like the rest of Every Time I Die guys were like reposting, and were like, what the fuck? I feel so bad. I wanted to like rocket ship out of my shoes. I just felt so bad and embarrassed.
Oh man. They're telling you they're deep, like, you helped me through this time, and blah, blah, and then you're like, oh.
And, like, we get
fuck.
that for, like, Vanna fans, and,
Yep.
like, I'm very thankful and, like, courteous, and, like, that does mean a lot to me. I'm not just, like, bullshitting. So, but when you find out it's not even your band, you're like, I feel so awful right now, and I can't tell them. Like, it's too late.
Just got to go with it.
Gotta roll with it.
You're Andy now. This is your life now.
This is your life now.
I'm a wrestler, too.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I'm a huge wrestling nerd, so seeing him live, like, all the time, because, like I said, during this pandemic, so, like, by trade, I'm a respiratory therapist, so I've had to deal with this since day one, and still dealing with it now. So it's been, this is kind of like my little thing of doing, like, a little mental health hangout on a Saturday night, because not a lot of people can, things are still closed down in some areas, you know what I mean? So, it's wrestling kind of got me through that whole period, so it was like one of those things that if I needed to feel happy about something while working at the hospital or let's say my other job, I would just be like, all right, I can look forward to this because on my 30-minute break I'm going to go watch the highlights from this. So Andy was sort of like my mental health coach by being in AEW wrestling, and when he appeared on wrestling I was just like, what the fuck's going to happen Every Time I Die? But they still do their big Buffalo show every year, I guess, so I'm hoping when things are back to normal, I can finally catch that, because I have a couple of friends that make it to Mecca. They call it Mecca, so, and they go to the famous Buffalo Wings spot and go to the show, so I need to do both. Yes, exactly.
Kelly's Corner, yeah.
I gotta go.
Andy showed me that place. It's so good.
Oh, man.
So, like,
Hopefully when shows are a thing again, we can maybe rip a gig with them.
that'd
would
be awesome.
Cool.
That'd be really awesome. So, someone in the chat had asked B. Fraser7 for first INSPIRIT show date and time. I'm assuming you're going to go off of when you guys have time because parents and work and life and everything that's thrown at you, but also pandemic when everything's safe and sound and we can all go back to normal. That's my plan for the state of New Hampshire as well as that in the future. I want to try and get more heavy music up here. I mean, like you said, Sean, we had the I'm Thirsty Entertainment, and then we had like NH Booking, and we had all these different people that did it differently. And my main goal is going to be helping artists, musicians come up this way further, because New Hampshire and Vermont get skipped a lot on a lot of tours, if you notice, and it's a real fucking bummer. I mean, people shouldn't have to drive 3, 4, 5 hours. I mean, it's great that they do, it shows dedication, but at the same time, I mean, someone's gonna step up and accommodate the people that are in their area, you know what I mean?
You know what's funny about that? Sorry to interrupt, but
No, go right ahead, man.
You asked earlier about shows that are memorable. And whether I think about like national shows we did or local shows we did, one of the ones that's most memorable to me is one of the New Hampshire shows. Was it the
Rocco's?
Guys, help me out. No, it was like Boys and Girls Club. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, with Our Last Night.
With Our Last Night. Yeah. It was like the first time we played with
when
them.
Trevor was literally 12.
Oh, yeah. And we used to hold them in the fucking air before they were all over like YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, it was Our Last Night. There was one other band that played too, and then there were none, I think, played.
Yep.
Which version?
That show was so much fun, and Yes. Yeah.
Talk about a
Derry,
flashback.
Derry, New Hampshire.
Derry?
Yeah.
Might have been Derry.
Yeah.
Derry Opera House.
Well, Derry Opera House we played way later. We did
Oh,
play
we
one
did?
show there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wherever we played in New Hampshire, it was always a good time. I love New Hampshire shows, but that show always comes to mind when I think about New Hampshire shows because it was small and like the setup was awkward. It was just like a PA in a room, you know?
It was
Like,
like
it wasn't
during
necessarily-
daylight hours too. I don't
Yeah.
think-
Yeah, it was like super awkward, but like people were in. There wasn't that many people there, but people were into it, and it was just the right vibes for a good show. You know, you show up and you're kind of like, I don't know about this, and then it turns out to be a really good time.
I think we only got to play in Vanna's full career, and like you guys might not even been in all of them or any of them. Vermont, I think we played maybe 3 times in like Vanna's like.
I played once in Vermont.
Yeah, we did Higher Ground.
Yeah, we did Higher Ground.
Yep, I know
We
where
did
that is.
Oddfellows.
Yeah,
Temple.
Oddfellows, I remember
They
that.
took out the skeleton at the end of the night after the show. That was weird.
Right off the
Fuck.
They brought out the skeleton in a coffin. Apparently, like the founder of that place, they keep his skeleton on hand.
Fuck.
Yeah,
I
local
remember
shows,
that.
man. It's a trip, especially in Vermont. But no, New Hampshire, we did play like a bunch of times, and I always loved it because like New Hampshire is just a wild ride. Like you get a whole different kind of show up there than you'd get in Massachusetts or Maine, even. You know,
Mhm.
granted, we had some great shows in like Portland, Maine, Bangor, and Bucksport.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, the cave.
Kathy. Yeah.
The station.
The station.
Love that venue.
Sick.
Oh,
Yeah.
the station is
Kind of a home
amazing.
venue for us.
We had an amazing, huge, like oversold out show with Day to Remember and 4 Year Strong at the station.
I was at that show. I was at that show, and it was pissing raining outside. And we were like, 10 more minutes till they open the doors, and they're like, 15 more minutes. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get pneumonia. So worth it.
Worth it.
Yeah, we played stuff off of A New Hope. We played We Are Nameless at that show, and it
I
was-
remember that too.
Yeah.
We hadn't even recorded it yet.
Nope.
Like we had just written it. That was wild.
So-
So yeah, playing New Hampshire would be sick. Like I mean, you know, if and when shows happen again, and like obviously Evan and Chris are in other states, but if they were to come up to do like a weekend or a run of shows or whatever, I'd love to hit like a bunch of New England states. Really, like just like give it back to everyone who's always been there, but also it's close. Like there's not a lot of driving. I'd like to go back to my house every night. You know. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly. And I thought of it this way, like if I can, so with working with Kettlehead, the guys that the beer that you have from, working with them and then working with other local breweries in New Hampshire, I'm hoping that I can get some sort of beer and music festival going so that this way, then we can get that jump started and then it can trickle down to Massachusetts and trickle down to Connecticut and Rhode Island. And you know what I mean? So that's kind of like my goal right now is getting you guys back out there when it's safe and sound, but getting you into places where it gets skipped all the time. It really fucking bums people out. And, I'm just going to give you 2 questions from chat right now because I always like to throw them in. Ryder Luna asked if I'm not sure if I missed it, but favorite band or bands to tour with? And to go along with that, B. Fraser 7, did you guys ever play with Too Late the Hero from Maine? I'm definitely positive you guys did because I think when I was at 13, I played with you guys there at like a middle of nowhere, either New
Wyndham-
York or.
Wyndham Betts and Betts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was played several times. I know I'm fairly certain we played with Too Late to Hear there, but
Yeah.
good friends with Kevin. He actually recorded some stuff for us later on. We did an EP and covers, or a 7-inch and a covers EP with Kevin. So definitely very aware of them. They're awesome dudes, great band.
He's a national treasure.
Oh yeah, he's like the New England Jack Black.
Oh my! I am so glad you said that. He is the New England Jack Black. In the videos he posts lately of Uncle Kevin,
How to record.
I lost my
It's like-
mind laughing at it.
Microphone in the piano. Be like,
It's gonna go deeper.
deeper. Just keeps putting the wire.
And he stares at the camera like it's okay.
Yeah.
I will say, favorite bands to tour with. Touring with Finch was awesome. We did a couple with them. They were just really great dudes, and that band was like influential as hell. From first to last, we did a few tours with them.
Awesome.
Awesome.
A lot.
guys.
They took us on 3 tours in a row.
And they
Wow.
were
They would
so
be
good to
probably
us.
close to the top of my list. Yeah.
Yeah, like just such good guys. We had so much fun with them. Touring with fuck.
The Chariot.
Yeah.
I know,
dude.
Chris, you weren't in the band at the time, but
I
you
would.
would have
missed
loved
that.
it. They were
I'm a
our
huge
vibe.
Chariot fan.
Oh yeah,
Dude.
they were our vibe. Touring with them was so fun. They were just like down to like just fuck off anytime and like have long stupid jokes and like, and you probably seen the Tough Life videos, whatever, when we did the Chariot
Yep.
tour. But like, it was as much fun, if not more, than what you saw. What we managed to catch on like camera, like such great dudes, like Stevis, Josh, like all those dudes, like. That was
At All Cost was one for me. That was
Oh
one of my
yeah.
favorite tours. Those
Clean
are awesome.
Bobby is a national treasure. Also, is he
He is.
alive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of the At All Cost dudes are alive. And
I think I
not
talked
only
to him
alive,
a
but
little
I'm
while ago.
pretty sure they're thriving.
Yeah.
Dude, Mike from At All Costs, the lead guitarist, is in Darkest Hour.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're doing really well. And I think Trey has his own guitar company. Yeah,
That band was awesome, and
Yeah.
you know, a little wacky or whatever. Maybe unrelated. Maybe like ahead of the time. I don't know, but like they were sick.
yeah.
Man, who else did we record?
Honorable mentions. Hope's Fall, really fun.
We did their like second to last tour.
Yep.
We had,
Poison the Well.
Poison the Well. We did their like second to last tour. We had a good like system going where we would play with our favorite bands as they were like just be like, we're about to wrap it up, but we're like, let's get in there and do one more.
One more.
Yeah.
Or on the flip side of that, though, there was one of our first tours, Escape the Fate. You got to throw them in.
That was
I'm thinking like,
Holy
as
shit.
far as like friendships lasting or not.
Yeah.
They remembered us though from like I still can like talk
Yeah.
to Ronnie and he'll remember shit from that tour and I'll be like, it's wild.
Dude, their first
No
EP
doubt.
was really good though, and then after that, just I had no interest in anything they were doing. But they were
Yeah.
like so obsessed.
It was
with
successful though.
Oh
They
yeah.
were so fun to hang out with. If anyone ever runs into Ronnie, ask him about Smurfs. I'll just drop that little nugget right there.
Ask him about Smurfs. Okay. That's gonna definitely be a little nugget.
What other bands did we tour with early on? Oh, Therefore I Am. We did a tour with that. Oh,
Yeah.
an epic tour. We did the This Is New England tour. This might have been like right after you were out of the band, Chris, when we left. I think it was like Davey's, like one of his first tours. But it was with A Loss for Words and Therefore I Am. And at that point, like my brother had taken Brandon's place in Therefore I Am. So like I got to tour with my brother, which was sick. And then Maddie and all the guys in Lost for Words. And that was just like a family vibe, like every show. Even if the shows were like, they were in some weird ass places. I think we played a 4-H club on that tour. But it was just good vibes, so much fun. Like those were some of the best bands to tour with. And we would tour with Lost for Words again on the Picnic Artery tour. You remember that one. Not a great tour, but there was some fun times.
Oh my god!
Almost fighting everyone at the what was that? The Whiskey? No. What was that LA venue? The Hollywood one.
Well, there's the Roxy, the Whiskey A Go Go, the Troubadour.
Troubadour, yeah, that's a good one.
Is it none of those?
Some people who worked there were all like coked up and like trying to pick fights with like the band. And we were like, "Are we gonna have to fight the staff tonight while we're
Yeah.
playing?" Like,
I know.
Oh, cooked up.
crazy.
I faintly recall what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of that venue though. I feel like that was a venue
Yeah.
that wasn't.
In Fear and Faith, it was like one of the singers, like literally was like about to fight the guy because like, I don't know, he was just like picking a fight with him. It was so weird.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Good
we saw
time.
some weird dramatic stuff over the years.
Yeah, I'll say.
So I have to bring it up because I booked you guys on a show at the Beachmont VFW, and it was the first time in my life I've seen Evan knock someone out for being a complete piece of fucking shit, and we had to grab the guy and throw him out the fucking door
That
to get him out of there. And
that was
Evan,
Hope's Fall.
go ahead, buddy.
That was with Hope's Fall. That
Yes.
Was, so we were playing, and one of my best friends was on that tour with us. He was doing merch for us, and whenever we would play, he would go and mosh.
It's Taylor. Yeah.
My friend Taylor. And
shout out to Taylor.
So there was
Shout
like
out.
a mosh crew in the pit, and he was moshing for us, and one of the guys just went over and just punched him in the face for no reason, just because he was moshing and they were a mosh crew and they were hate moshing or whatever. So he came up to the front of the stage and was like trying to get my attention. We're like in the middle of the song, and I looked down, his eyes already swollen shut because he got hit so hard. So I like lost my shit and like put my guitar down in the middle of the song and went in and was like, "Who was it?" And he pointed him out to me, and I just started hitting the guy, and another guy came out here and started hitting him.
It was sick.
I was like,
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly.
No, it happened. I can confirm.
So
Me, I mean, I'll fuck someone up, but I don't want to. I don't like fighting. I'd rather that not be a thing. But that pissed me off so much. And then the crowd like just threw these dudes out. It was
Yep.
So fun to watch.
So that was literally like the second show I ever booked, and I'm like, it's gonna go totally fine. We don't have to worry about anything. No one's gonna get in a fight. And then you guys,
sweet boy.
so that went on, and then that happened, and I literally turn around, and there's a Revere cop, and I go, I didn't get a detail for this.
Oh.
And he literally looks at me and he goes, all right, so this is what we're going to do. You only have these guys left, right? Yep. We're going to let you finish, but we're going to write you a real big fucking ticket. And that ticket is you have to donate money to a local charity. And I go, okay, so it's not a real life ticket, okay? So I had the money for the show to pay everybody out. The person I booked the show with fucking left with all the money and wouldn't answer their phone.
Oh.
So I
that
literally
sucks,
panicked,
man.
right? I panicked, and I go, everything's okay. Everything's okay. I ran to the bank, withdrew money, paid everybody, paid for the charity thing, got the money back the next day, kept booking shows.
Oh my
Because I was like, you know what? That guy was a piece of shit. That's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
But Evan was so cool about it that once everyone in the crowd collectively turned into this fucking like, it's him or us, everyone grabbed him and threw him out. And then I remember someone sticking up for him, this dude that looked like a fucking hobbit. And he was like, you know, he's my friend, you can't do that to him. And I was like, then you can fucking leave too. And I'll never forget Nick turning and going, just shut the door. So I just shut the door and you guys finished up the set. And I was like, all right, I'm going to stand in the corner over here and...
Oh my god.
I remember those kids like down the street like yelling, be like, blah, blah, and we're all at the front door and like, you guys are pussies. Like, come over here and say it, or just go home. Like,
They kept heading towards the train station. We're like, they're not going to do anything. They're fucking going. They don't even have a ride. They're going to the train.
Well, I apologize for any issue I may have caused for you. That was like injustice, and I couldn't deal with it. I was like,
If someone didn't do something, I would have been disappointed. And the fact that it was the band that everyone
I
was there to
would've
see
done
that night, everyone had a collective boner. It didn't matter. Everyone had a collective justice boner that night because they were like, "Fuck this fucking guy."
I've believe it or not, I've never actually been in like a formal like fight in my life. Like I guess I'm just like a big enough guy. No one wants to fight me, which is fine because I don't know how to fight, and I'd probably just like look like an
I don't
idiot.
want to fight Sean. I know how to fight. I want to fight Sean.
Exactly. I don't want to fight.
Sean scares the shit out of me just looking at him, so I wouldn't fight Sean either.
Yeah. So I've never had to fight, but like whatever, not a big deal. But I took so much delight in watching Evan fight the few times I got to watch. And like, he's right when he said he never started a fight. He never like was like never went in looking for a fight. But when he saw injustice, he could crank it the fuck up. Like, you got what, 2 black belts? Like he actually knows how to fight, knows how to control himself in like heated situations. And watching him fight was just like smart. Like and it's always like such sweet justice and like payback, so that makes it even more beautiful. And like I don't know, I could regale you on all the times I remember him fighting, and it's just they're all just perfect.
I watched a girl in the
Taylor,
crowd
man.
with like giant teased hair and like 3 fucking studded belts, and she was like, the emo guy in the band knocked him out. And I'm like, oh, well, at least we remember him for being the guy with the emo guy. What the fuck is that? What do you mean? The guy playing the metal music. Where'd you get emo guy?
I
You
was
know
emo
who-
guy.
You know who actually
Okay,
looked
then.
like an emo guy but could fight really well? Balls. Josh Balls from Motionless in White.
Oh yeah, fuck that.
He can fucking handle himself. Like he comes from like some like real like salt of the earth you hold your ground like kind of like Pennsylvania like attitude. And I remember he was telling us the story that he got like someone was trying to like steal their shoes or something, starting to fight with them at like a gas station while we were on tour with them, and he literally just beat the shit out. I think he ended up stealing their shoes,
Nice.
and they left. Yeah,
Yes!
Like,
Yes!
he took the shit out of them.
Give me your
What a
shoes.
domination move.
Yeah.
Steal the shoes. Like, dude,
Like it might be
straight up,
some
fuck
of the
you.
details wrong, but like, let's just go with that he stole their shoes. Let's say he spit on them too. Like just as a matter.
Oh,
my god!
took their
Talk
shoes.
to
That's so
Josh Balls
great.
about that sometime, and he'll back me up. He's a badass.
That's so funny.
Dude, we took Motionless in White to Bally High in Saugus, Massachusetts after a show. And I will never forget them sitting there. So, like, you know, in full regalia, end of the show, and everyone staring at us. And they looked at us and they go, "This Chinese food fucking sucks." And I was like, "Okay, where do you guys want to go? Like, you don't drink, you don't like this place. Where can we take you? Like, we just want to make you happy." They were the funniest, most laid back guys you'd ever meet in your life. And I'm sure you guys can attest to that. Because, like, hanging out with them, seeing them on stage is intimidating because they have their thing that they do. But just getting to know them, you're like, "Oh, you're a fucking teddy bear." Like, that's so strange.
They were really sweet guys, and they didn't have the. I mean, whatever they're like now, they were not like then. Like then, they were finding their sea legs. I think as an entity. Back when we toured with them, because that was like 2000.
It was like one of their first ones. And it was on a tour with Asking Alexandria, and that was their first US tour too. We were
Holy shit.
It was with a Skylit Drive. No, not a Skylit Drive. Static Lullaby.
Static Lullaby. Yeah, Asking Alexandria was the opening band, and they were like, "Oh, Curses was our favorite record, and we started playing music because of it." And then
Cheerio, mate.
yeah, and then like years later, they were huge, and we were like, "Hey, want to take us out on tour?" And they were like, "Who are you?" And we were like,
What the fuck?
They remembered vaguely who we were, but they were also like, "Yeah, we don't control anything. We
Right.
know how it works. And have a drink. Come on our tour bus and enjoy our festivities."
That's pretty awesome. So, Jay Driscoll asked, "Will Sean be shaving, encasing, and selling his mustache with the new band?"
Well, you can tell Jay, or I guess I'm telling him right now because he's watching. No, but he just ruined his next birthday present because that's what I was gonna get for him. So
Way to
there
ruin
you
it,
go.
Jay.
You're welcome.
Way to ruin
Hi,
it, Jay.
Jay.
And Ryder Luna said she was at a Neck Deep show in San Diego, and people were climbing on the rafters, and one of the lights fell on a girl's head. Have you ever seen something happening like that? Have you seen a show go from controlled chaos to absolute, we need to either end this set and get the fuck off the stage, or we're going to be pillaged?
One time in Lubbock, Texas, at Jake's Sports Bar, Ev, I don't know if you were in the band, or Chris, you were in the band, but like there was some drunk guy, and I don't even know if he was like there for the bands. We were playing. We were like 3 songs in maybe, and he like there was like a big screen TV that was like kind of at head level for some reason. He like walked into it and like fell on the ground, like passed out, and they made us stop playing, and they were like just tending to the guy forever, and he wasn't moving and stuff, and they wouldn't let us like continue to play, and we're like, "Is that guy dead? Can we get like an update? Can we like shovel him into the next room and keep playing?" Because it was going on for a while. We're like, everyone's like standing around like, "The show is happening. There's a dead guy here.
Oh my
What are we doing?" He ended up getting up eventually, but we're like, "Jesus Christ!"
They're like, "Yeah, that's Bill. He pulls his shit every night."
Yeah. But no, I mean, going back to New England shows, like most New England shows ended before they were supposed to end in some sort of calamity,
Yep.
getting shut down by cops or some massive fight, or us fighting someone in the crowd, or someone in the crowd just like, you know, doing something insane. So like, Yeah.
Par for the
Which one
course.
do you want to talk about?
on one date of a tour we did with Chariot, because I know we toured them a few times, Wolf threw his bass because they would start the set and it would be this like crazy chaotic thing. They'd start the set and he would run and just throw his bass out into the crowd, and then he would like jump into the crowd and like wrestle it back and like get back to the stage. And I think he hit someone in the face with it, throwing it. I don't think it wasn't like a showstopper or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure it ruined somebody's night.
It wasn't a showstopper. What the fuck?
Yeah, they didn't stop playing or anything. It was literally the beginning, but he did it every night. He must have killed at least 2 people. Like,
Impaled with it. He's got to go in and get it. Like, it's stuck in the chest. God,
just giant bass just sails into the crowd. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I loved watching them play every night. And every night it was kind of different. It's like you might see them and you're like, oh, that looks crazy, but I bet they do the same thing every night. No. They're making it up as they go. And it is pure chaos.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. Like, I don't even care if you were a fan of the band or the music or whatever, but like, if you were not fucking entertained by that, then you are probably dead.
Yeah, those guys are artists, man. That's like it's like performance art to watch them.
Yeah.
Even I saw Josh's what's his band after the Chariot?
68.
Yep.
Yes. I went and saw them in Portland when we were living there, and it was the music is completely different, but it's similarly performance art. It's kind of like unhinged a little bit, because I think that's like Josh's expression is just like unhinged rock and roll.
Chaos.
But it's more rock and roll than like crazy like hardcore anything. But it's similar in that like it just like is totally encompassing like just performance art. He loses his shit in a certain way and you cannot look away.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
He's got the it factor, dude. That dude is something else, man. It's crazy.
I'm going to go to the chat.
I like this. Sean's getting involved. Go ahead,
Look at
buddy.
me. I am the host now.
I just happened to look over and someone said, do you remember when the bassist from Good Luck Cadet broke his leg mid-set in Rhode Island? Not necessarily that band breaking it, but like I've seen people do like serious fucked up things to themselves during the set.
Really?
The VANNA show, I went out for a few songs at the last VANNA show, right? I ended up puncturing one of my ligaments in my knee, and I had like this big pocket of like juice on my knee for like a couple weeks after, and I had to go to an orthopedic surgeon, and the guy was like, "What did you do to yourself?" And I was like, I played a show, man. Like, I stomped my feet real hard. He's like, you're a moron, first of all. But second of all, you, like, punctured the ligament, and there's just joint fluid flowing into your knee freely. So he had to, like, suck it out of my knee.
Oh, shit.
Sounds pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I would jump into the crowd. Like, a lot. Back especially in the earlier days, we would do a lot of stuff like influenced by the Chariot, where we would like just go into the crowd or like be crowd surfing or like, you know, whatever. So you naturally get hurt. And I would have like imprints of like speakers in my back, or like, you know, jump into the crowd, no one catches me, and so I have like some big contusion or something. I remember Nick, though, actually a show we played in Alaska. It was our second of 2 shows we played in Anchorage, Alaska on a trip. Was he actually did like a weird stomp or something and tore his ACL and or MCL? Like,
Yeah, he was both, right?
It was like,
dude,
like 3 songs into the set too, and like he didn't know what happened. He was like in pain or whatever, but played the rest of the set. Had to sit down on the side of the stage because he was like, I don't know what happened, but like I try to stand and my leg gets all wonky and I fall again. And so the rest of the time we were in Alaska, he had to walk around with crutches on, and we were like, oh, we're going like sightseeing, we're going up this mountain, we're going on a glacier cruise to like do all the Alaska stuff. Are you sure about this? He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna let it like slow me down. Like, oh yeah, it was awful. I felt so bad for him, but like it's a shitty thing to happen anyway, but to happen in Alaska when you're like so far from home and like, yeah,
let's do some mobile shit. And he's like, I'll try.
The music videos.
What's that?
when we were doing the music videos, Nick told me about all that, and I was just like, God, dude, I can't. Because he didn't he also not too long before that he broke his hand and he had a cast and he did the tour with the cast and then he
what the fuck?
He had some drunken moment or whatever where he punched the wall and broke his hand, and it was a couple days before we left for our first and would end up being our only Australian tour. And he had to get this huge cast that came past his elbow, so he couldn't bend his arm or whatever. And we were all bummed for him, obviously, but also super stressed out because we're like, what are we gonna do? We're going we don't have time to train Philin to do your guitar parts. Can you still play guitar? And he's like, I'm sorry guys, I feel really fucking bad. I'm gonna figure it out. He learned how to play
upside down, right?
Upside down. So he would this is his strumming hand, and he would play his fretting hand with I think he only had 2 or 3 fingers available, and figured out the whole set.
No fucking way, really?
Play over the top of it.
So bad.
I've never seen anything like it because he couldn't go like this because of the way the cast was set. And man, Nick is a fucking bad. He's
Nick's a machine, man.
He's not only he's a machine. He's not only the best, and I've heard other people in the music industry that have recorded say this. He's got the best rhythm hand. He's one of the best rhythm guitars.
Matt Bayless said that.
Matt Bayless said it. I think Randy recorded us at our last 2 albums. He was dude. He's I've never. Oh no, it was Matt Goodman also said the same thing. Or Goldman.
Yeah, Goldman. Yeah,
Goldman.
I think every producer we worked with complimented him. If there was a part,
so
dude, I would have him track some of my parts because he was just so fucking solid. More solid than me for all that kind of shit. So I would just be dude.
So I don't think many or any other person could really pull it off. But when he said he's I'm just gonna figure it out, his willpower and his ability, we were just okay, man, I believe you. And he played the whole Australian tour with his cast just over the top, and it sounded good. It was still
fucking so incredible.
Yeah,
that's so incredible.
Yeah.
So what was it like playing in Australia and Alaska? Was it totally different? Was the crowd different? Were the people different? Because I think Australia. Sorry, I was just getting my lovely, beautiful wife brought me seltzer water because we had friends visit from New York today, and we had beers earlier, and then I took a 45-minute nap because I was if I have to drink beer later with INSPIRIT, I'm going to be real fucked city if I don't have a little bit of water. So 2 Gatorades and a seltzer water, I think I'll be good for tomorrow morning.
And I just want to chime in here. I noticed you say seltzer, and I love that, and that's a New England thing. Outside of New England, people don't really say seltzer.
No, isn't that weird?
Bubbly water down here. Can I have some bubbly water, sir?
Oh, can I have a sparkling water? And you're it's seltzer.
Sparkling.
Any seltzer is fine, but Polar is the best.
So this is my favorite one. It's the pineapple pomelo. So if I'm feeling being a basic white girl, I'll have it with vodka. Because then I'm it tastes like I'm having something that's bad for me.
Like a White Claw.
Yeah, so White Claws are pretty much vodka. So I'm starting to I've noticed that a lot of distributors are now carrying cocktails in a can, and I'm what the fuck are the rules now? Because since the pandemic, you can now get vodka sodas in a can, but they're sold in up here in New Hampshire, as long as you have food available, you can buy beer and wine. But spirits are controlled by the state, which is real fucking weird for Live Free or Die. Someone can clip that and get me in trouble in New Hampshire too. I don't give a shit. If it's Live Free or Die, you shouldn't control the alcohol. But when it comes to beer, yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things that's an old Joe Rogan sketch where he said that it's real weird that our license plate says Live Free or Die, but people in prison fucking print them. That's kind of the biggest conundrum I've ever heard of in my life. But you would think that having beer and wine available with food in New Hampshire, now they have vodka sodas, and I'm where do we draw the line on what's allowed in stores or what you can distribute? Yeah. So like my new thing is I want to learn distilling. Like that's my new goal.
Dude, that's where it's at. Like craft distilleries.
Oh yeah.
I think
please
that's the
do.
next wave, and I'm into it. But
Yeah.
I think like the pandemic has really like blurred the lines for a lot of people because like Massachusetts, like we still aren't allowed to have a happy hour. Like having discounted times for alcohol is not allowed in Massachusetts. But now because of COVID, you're allowed to have to-go drinks. Like
Which
you
is
can have a to-go
amazing.
cocktail. Which I'm like please.
I love the
never
to-go
take-
cocktails, man.
Please never take this away.
Wait, do they up there? Do they just tape the lid? Is that how they get away
They're
with it?
supposed to put it in a vessel that isn't great
A
for
sealed
drinking
vessel.
on the go.
A vessel.
You're like, I'm gonna drink
Like-
out of a bedpan if you serve it in a bedpan.
I'm pretty sure the rule is written as make it a pain in the ass to open in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
If it passes that, then you're good to go. Open into the car anyway, but don't. But you could.
Exactly. Like, bitch, I'm innovative. I will buy the longest crazy straw and stick it in the cup holder.
Open it in the car, pour it into your Yeti, and keep it nice and chilled.
There you go.
Have a straw, drink like a normal person.
Exactly. So I've never done this in my life, but like if you ever go to an Irving, you can actually fit one of those cans in an Irving cup with ice around it and then put a straw in the top and it seals up real nice.
Yep.
I've never done
Getting
that.
pros out here.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
So
Ever.
just for TOS services, terms of service. I don't want. The only thing you can't show is nipples apparently on Twitch. That's about it.
So my nipples.
Yeah.
Why did I subscribe for Twitch?
So you're just gonna see my underboob tonight.
Yeah, just side boob, just a lot of that. And the only reason I wore a tank top is because the room that I do this in is hotter than hell, and this is the first hot night.
A hot day.
Yeah, so it was like 77 today up here in New Hampshire. So this house holds heat when it's hot
basically
out.
hell for New Hampshire people.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Because now all the bugs are out. It sucks.
Mm.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't see you at all. I have a symbol and a camera with a slash through it for you. So
So, Evan, I forgot to
Yeah.
tell you because you came in later.
Yep.
Twitch.tv/BansBrewsandBS. If you go to that, you can just mute the stream while it's going and you can see me. It's this weird thing. Skype won't
Yeah.
communicate with my camera, but it'll communicate with OBS, which I stream with.
Okay.
So,
I click over to it every once in a while, but it's a good 20 seconds behind.
yeah.
Talking about,
It's kind of a funny
So-
delay.
It's a little bit of a delay, but B Fraser7 said try Truly Iced Tea, try it, don't ask questions.
Okay.
And
Is it truly iced tea?
it's touche. Is it actually iced tea or is it B Fraser7, is it actually iced tea or is it a fucking seltzer that tastes like iced tea?
I think it's hard seltzer iced tea.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds
Let's
like
just
a-
call
I mean,
it again.
that
Don't
sounds-
correct me.
No, we don't have a Googler.
I
I'm
think
not-
it's hard.
Don't Google it. Just that's
I
what
have
it-
like all these this lemonade mix one.
Ooh, black cherry
he's got it.
lemonade.
There's
Look at
like
this guy.
There's like 3 or 4 different kinds. Yeah, they're good for the pool here. Like me and the lady will go
Yeah.
out to tan and we'll like fill up our Yetis with
This guy
them.
was
And
in the pool.
Perfect. It's
hey, I
their
don't have a
version.
pool. Chris has a pool. I don't have a pool.
Yeah, both.
Chris has a pool. Evan's moving to Texas. Evan, we got the pool. I gotta warn you though. You mentioned Joe here mentioned a hot room. This room that I'm in right now. This is where I track my vocals.
Yeah.
This is just a closet is all it is. But I've like put a bunch of soundproof stuff on. It's so fucking hot in here. When I start tracking, it gets into the like 90s, inches into the maybe near 100 when I'm tracking vocals in here. So Evan, prepare yourself.
So you're in a
Oh,
fucking
I'm still-
smoker the whole time you're doing vocals, just making Texas barbecue in that vocal booth.
We've already,
Basically, yeah, we probably could. Yeah, I could do beef jerky in here, I'm sure. A little humid.
we've already been working on new songs and new demos, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to
Ooh.
be there with you, and we can fucking do stuff together in person and like mess around with all kinds of.
That's
weird
not a real
vocals.
sexual, but I'm okay with it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do stuff
Feelings.
together. 7 minutes in heaven in the closet.
So
Definitely, though. Yeah, I'm set up, ready to go for the new stuff.
So what are we talking about with new stuff here? This is exciting. I want to hear.
Well, we've just been putting stuff like Sean wrote a bunch of cool stuff. And Nick and Brandon and Sean all got together and did a song, which is really cool.
We're getting together tomorrow too to do some more jamming.
Nice. That's awesome.
Nice.
Chris and I have been laying vocals over demos remotely. But we're trying to put stuff together for another record, so for a full length. So we're kind of
Exciting.
yeah, so exciting.
Well, this pandemic is still going on.
Yeah.
The panini. My wife's been calling it the
The panini.
panini. She's convinced our 4-year-old that that's just what it is. Like it's, we like kids say things
He's gonna
wrong.
see a panini shop someday when he's older, and he's like, "You don't go in there.
What?
You don't buy there."
It's
That way.
dangerous.
Why would they make that? But like kids say things wrong sometimes. You want to like sustain that. So like we've been calling it the panini. So I'm like, yeah. Anyway, while we're in the panini,
The
Hard
pan-
pressed.
We've heard a couple comedians say the pandy. That's another one, the pandy. So
Cheddar.
what are pancetta? Who said pancetta?
Oh, this pancetta's killing me.
This pancetta's
Not
killing
hungry.
me. Not crispy enough. What are some of the biggest accomplishments in any band, past or present, that you've done? Like, what are some things that
Right
really?
here, right now, getting on this.
You're setting the bar fucking. I'm pretty sure that you could literally just barrel roll over that bar, Sean. But thank you for being so nice.
It's like limbo bar.
Oh, so just a quick interjection. I was so pissed off today because Chris is the only one that received one, but you guys were supposed to get shirts in your boxes.
Whoa.
And literally, when I came home today, the bag of shirts were delivered today. And I was going to actually send you each a video of me I was just so fucking mad. I pulled into the driveway, and through my truck window, I just went, "Are you fucking kidding me?
Wow.
Are you kidding me?"
You know what I just said about this being the top? Now it's less than.
2.
And I wouldn't have known if you had said that. I was also supposed to get a shirt, and now I'm pissed.
Yeah. I'm sad.
I'm still sending
good
them
shirt,
out
too.
if that counts.
Damn it. I need shirts too. I don't even have any shirts.
That shirt you're wearing, we went over this before this started. That shirt you're wearing is extremely, extremely sharp. I'm digging it.
Whose shirt?
Yours.
Mr.
Oh, yeah,
Mr.
yours,
Marquis over there.
I know. I put it on for this, just for this gig.
Yeah, dress up.
So nice.
I bought it during the pandemic, and I've had like one opportunity to wear it out. So I gotta show everyone, my bling.
You should
Yeah.
Is that what the kids say? Nah.
Something like that.
That's it.
So past or present, what are some things that you're really, really proud of? Like, what are some milestones you hit that you didn't think you would, or you did, or things that caught you off guard? Like, you talk about playing with Every Time I Die and
Well,
things like that.
I will say one show that all of us played together
Mhm.
that was incredible was Chris's last show when we played Warped Tour, and there were like 10,000 people in the amphitheater. And
Awesome.
granted, a lot of those people were trying to get out of the rain that was coming, but
But they also do all the words to our songs.
Yeah.
they kind of were like, "Oh, the rain! Oh, in this crowded room!" So
It's-
it's like
It wasn't kind of.
Was literally.
Perfect.
that show was fucking nuts, and like Sean saw Dallas Green one night in the parking lot and was like, "Hey," and like he like brought me over to him to meet him because I love Alexis on Fire.
You and me both, buddy.
Yeah, right. And like I ended up meeting Dallas because of Sean
He was
introducing
playing
him.
a steel guitar.
Yeah, he was sitting out there playing some stuff by himself in the parking lot, and then so we ended up kind of connecting with Alexis on Fire, and I gave him our record, which was A New Hope at the time, and they listened to it, and then 2 days later on Warped, he was like, "Dude, record's awesome, we all like it," and so that was a whole crazy thing. And then when we did that show that day, Dallas came to our set early, and he was throwing candy out to the crowd. He crouched right next to my amp the whole show, and
It's fucking cool.
crowd was nuts. And dude, that show for me was fucking surreal as hell. I was just I was so nervous. But that was a high point for sure in Vanna. Was as much as it sucked for Chris leaving, that was so sad for all of us when Chris was parting ways, because we loved him, and he was just like, "This is
You
where
don't anymore, by the way. We loved
That-
past tense.
Yeah, it's over
Yeah.
now.
we loved you."
Can I tell you that like about that show? There's a YouTube video of this too that you can watch this moment happen. But the coolest moment of that show was at the end of the very last song. I was standing on the crowd, and Drew Pillsbury took a photo of this just a few minutes or a few seconds before. I'm like standing on the crowd, and they're holding me up, and the song ends, and I like fall into the crowd. And they're like pulling the mic cord out to fish me out of the crowd. And it's Jim Riley and Dallas Green pull me up by my hands out of the crowd and pull me up into Vanna, like my brothers, and like into an embrace, directly out of the crowd into this embrace. And it was like the most emotional like climax of that experience in my life. It was so cool, and I will never forget that moment. And it's funny that there's this YouTube video that like it has a lot of views, and it's that moment, but you would never know it just watching the video. It's just like they pull me up, and it's like kind of like, okay, end of the set, and then we all hug. But for me, it was just like the biggest thing ever.
Yeah.
And so
Dude, that's
yeah.
crazy.
For all of you, it must have been the biggest thing ever. Because I mean, like playing something like that, and especially it being a send off, that's a big fucking deal, man. I mean, like I said, and it's not to like inflate anyone's ego or kiss your ass. You guys were a major integral part of our teenage years. So if not for the local scene of music, I think a lot of us would have grown up a little bit more fucked up than we already are. So,
We probably fucked you up more, to be honest.
no, I think that
You're welcome.
you you were the chaotic normal that we needed. You know what I mean? Like people that thought like us, or at least shared the same view, or like the same music. Because what happened back then is like people would. Long story short, my mom heard Every Time I Die and only caught the part where it said, "Hey there, girls, I'm a cunt," and my mom was like, "No fucking more. You're not listening to this." And I'm like, this isn't what it's like when I go to the local shows. So you know what I mean? So it was almost like no one's yelling that. I mean, half the time you can and can't distinguish the lyrics until you hear their album when it's recorded. But, that's not what's happening. And most of the shows are at an ICC. So, you know what I mean?
Well,
Jesus.
we were really big on putting a positive message out there, especially when Chris and I were doing the vocal content.
Mm-hmm.
Big on. I mean, we talked about a lot of different stuff. There were, there were a lot of different aspects to it, but a lot of it was pretty positive, and then also like very realistic to what people go through in their lives. Like we wrote about relationships with friends and family and girlfriends, and I don't know. I think we hit the nail pretty well for what we were doing, what we were expressing vocally. And Chris was very, he wrote very poetic, abstract stuff for his stuff, and I kind of tried to write very direct shit about. Like I was always a serious relationship guy, and there were a lot of peaks and valleys throughout the relationship. So I would always write about a lot of that stuff, and then we would weave them together in these really. I don't know. I thought they were cool ways.
Chris would write about he's like, "Oh, this song's about the movie Gladiator," but then he would sit with your lyrics, and you're like, "This is so relatable."
Vanishing Orchestra is the one you're referring to, and it is indeed about Gladiator.
So it's We Are Nameless.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. That's right. I forgot about that. That one
Part
is too.
2 of Vanishing Orchestra.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Vanishing Orchestra. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. That song is it.
That's like my chaotic normal. I'm like, I put that on.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
It's like one of our most discordant, fucked up songs. But it's just we just fucking did whatever we wanted in that, and it just worked out to me so well. I'm sure it's not one of our popular songs, but to me, I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm real.
You know what's funny is the song. There's a peek behind the curtain here because you're just catching us socializing on a Saturday now. But the song that I sent you guys last night, I had to go back and check because I'm like, am I just ripping my same vocal rhythms from Vanishing Orchestra? Am I just ripping myself off at this point? Because it reminds me a lot of Vanishing Orchestra. But I think it's just like a similar energy
Yeah,
of like just heavy chaos, but kind of groovy.
yeah.
It's great. It's so
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I think it's tough. It's like you can't rip yourself off because you're just like that's just my shtick. That's just what I
Yeah.
do. If anyone's allowed to do it, it's me because you've heard it
True.
before, and that's my signature. So,
As soon as you said that, all I could think of was Dumb and Dumber when he's like, "You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd." Like that's all that came to mind when you were like, "You can't fucking rip yourself off." You know what I mean? B Frazier 7 said, "Speaking of shirts, Chris once tried to trade me 2 Vanna shirts for a shirt I was wearing that said Red Hot Texas on it with chili peppers at the YMCA in Saugus."
Holy shit.
That's sick.
I believe that.
That's
I
right.
think I want to say I remember that shirt. I don't think we traded, but I regret that we didn't.
So it's really cool to see that people remember the most obscure shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We are pretty
Yeah.
obscure.
But that was the nice part about you guys is that like you played metalcore or whatever you want to call it, metalcore, whatever you like to define a genre by. I'm not big on genres because then they all start to fucking blend together. You know what I mean? I just like music for what it is. I just still, no offense, Chris, and maybe Evan, and probably Sean as well. I can't do country music. I haven't found something that's actually caught my attention long enough.
For years and touring and hearing a lot of country from Chris, it's grown on me for sure. But like it's a very specific style.
Okay.
Spend like an hour with me. I will.
Yeah.
I will.
He's the king of country. He'll make you
teach
love
you
it.
how to appreciate country music.
All right, fine. I'll take you up on
the
that.
ability to love country.
I'll take you up on that then, because I would actually like to like it, but it's just like, I mean, I live in New Hampshire, and of course we have John Deere tractors and fucking cattle, but I mean, it's so much different
Here's-
if I get
have-
the gist of like, you know.
I have an idea, and Chris maybe will back me up on this, but
Oh, God.
like because you're like a hardcore kid, you know, like heavy music, you're from the north too, like I get it, like you're not in the country. Listen to Sturgill Simpson's cover of Nirvana's In Bloom.
Okay. All
That's
right.
it.
That's it.
That's your gateway.
And then you'll be
That's
like,
your
all right.
gateway.
I get it now.
All right, so Sturgill Simpson. All right, I'm in.
Sturgill Simpson does a cover
And
of
then-
In Bloom by
And
Nirvana.
then listen to Wheeler Walker Jr.
No, don't pull that shit. I know exactly who that is. He's the Pussy King. We know this.
I love Chris.
Oh yeah, man.
Here's
Chris
the thing,
Stapleton
like-
is just butter.
If you're into City and Color, like Chris Stapleton is just a stone's throw away. You know,
Okay.
It's
All right.
soul, man. They're so soulful.
it's so soulful. Yeah.
All right, I'll give it a shot. I will listen to you.
I remember you showed us Old Crow Medicine Show back in the day.
Oh, dude, I love that band.
Yeah.
So good. And
So
Lucero. Lucero's basically a scene band, but they're like classic old country. Like
Yep.
there's
Lucero's
whiskey.
country, man.
It sounds like whiskey.
Mhm.
It does sound just like like it's whiskey in music form.
You know what else is great? Band of Horses live album at what is that venue?
Red Rocks?
What is it?
Red Rocks?
It's in Nashville. It's like a famous.
Grand
Oh.
Ole Opry.
No, it's not a Grand Ole Opry, but if you look up Band of Horses on Spotify, they have a live record, and it's beautiful. It's like very country, dude, it's so good. Like 3-part harmonies on everything.
Ooh.
It's
Here's what I'm gonna throw out for country wise. Check out Rustin Kelly, because I feel like if you're gonna go with a gateway from like the scene that we're familiar with to the country scene, or even like just into the alt country scene, like just dipping a toe, I would
love
say
alt
Rustin
country.
Kelly, because Rustin Kelly, he's a Nashville artist. He's like, he'll sell out the Ryman, no problem, but
That's
he
what it
also
is. Chris.
the Ryman, yeah.
Band of Horses.
So
Two birds, one stone.
Nice.
Rustin calls his music dirt emo. So like
Nice.
cross between like
Okay.
the red dirt country genre and emo. So dirt emo. And he did an album that's covers, and he does a Saves the Day cover at your funeral, and it's fucking amazing.
Okay.
He also covers Taylor Swift on that, and like My Chemical Romance. Like
Wow.
Rustin Kelly is
That's
the
cool.
gateway drug from scene kids to country music in a legitimate way, and like, don't just skip to like this shit Nashville country. Let's get there. Let's earn an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that explanation as well.
Here's my first of 5 discs for the easy price, $89.99.
Appreciating country 101. No, but for real, Ken Burns already did that with his fucking PBS. I'm sure you've seen it if you watch PBS in the last 2 years.
I'll watch it.
But Ken Burns did a whole documentary on country music, and it's like, it is 101 for country music. And if you know Ken Burns, man, no one does it better. Ken Burns.
Well, here's the thing. Also, like, if you're not big in the country, but like you're like into like, I don't know, badasses, like just start listening to Johnny Cash and go to the Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville.
Okay.
It seems like a tourist trap, but it's actually way worth the admission. Like, if you're not someone who grew up in that generation, like you're a boomer basically, like who grew up with Johnny Cash as like a household name, you learn so much shit about him. You're like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking badass.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like even if you watch the movie, you know, like Walk the Line, it doesn't cover everything. Like, he was an outspoken advocate for like Native American rights and shit. And he like knew everyone. He knew like Bob Dylan and shit. He was down. He had his own show. He was an actor. Like, he did all this crazy shit, and like he was legit, and he was fucked up too, obviously.
Oh yeah, I'm one of those twatty people though. I don't consider him country. I consider him folk. Is that wrong?
No, I don't think that's wrong at all. I think
Yeah, exactly. So Sean, yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like that, I can listen to him over and over and over and over again. But so now that you've given me, you know, Rustin Kelly and Chris Stapleton, and so I'll listen to those. But like, I just every time there's something that's like on the radio or something, I know that the radio's not the best judgment of character. I didn't find you guys on the radio. I found you guys from listening to you and going to shows. But like, this is why I started this show, because I want to know how the fuck everyone started out. Like, it's a big mystery. No one's gonna know how you did it compared to how I did it or how anyone else did it. So that's why I say, like, I consider Johnny Cash to be folk, because when people are like, you suck at, you know, you're saying that it's not country, it's country. To me, it's a different kind of country. You know what I mean? I'll go there. But
well,
to
like,
me,
Dolly Parton's like classic country, and she's awesome. Like,
exactly.
Great. It's timeless. You know,
Amazing.
Maybe it transcends country, but I'm sure she's in the Country Hall of Fame.
Oh, big time.
Oh,
and
yeah,
she's a huge human rights person too, which I really enjoy. I mean, Dolly's also a fucking national treasure. She's up there with Kevin Billingsley. I think that
Queen.
Dolly and Kevin are both
Kevin Billingsley and like just barely above Dolly.
exactly.
I can relate.
So Sean, I know that you do woodworking, which is one of the things that I started over the pandemic. My goal for this past Christmas was to make my wife something. So I made her some cutting boards. I know it's not anything fancy,
That's cool.
but it was a start, because I grew up in the generation of parents that were like, play with Legos, not a fucking power saw. So I didn't learn quote unquote manly shit until the pandemic. When I was
Legos
like,
didn't need the power saw for you. You weren't cutting your Legos with power saw. Like, I did something different then.
yeah. So I noticed that your woodworking is, I mean, that is incredible to me, doing the live edge with the resin and everything like that. So what I like to do is bring up some small businesses or things that you guys do on the side that might be things that people want to check out.
Sure. I mean, well, that business that I do, that I'm trying to make it into my full-time thing, because obviously during the pandemic, like, jobs and stuff I had were lost, and just being a parent pretty much full-time, but also like having all this time to like refine my skills. You know, to be honest, you know, we all met when we were at Mass Art. Like, we did Vanna started in Boston because Nick, me, Chris went to Mass Art, and Evan was living in Massachusetts too. You had a girlfriend that was at Mass Art? Is that how?
Rachel. Yeah.
So so Vanna originated around Mass Art. Actually, our first show was a lineup that no one will know the other two people that were in the band at the time was at Mass Art. And we did another show later on with Chris at Mass Art when he was there.
Was it Bragel? Was Bragel the...
No.
No?
Didn't even have a singer. We all kind of shared screaming. We had a girl keyboardist, and we had a different drummer that no one will know.
Wow.
And we never played a show with them again. It was one show, and then months later, we like got new members and played whatever, became Vanna. But like, there was one show at MSR where we played as a wild version of Vanna that you will never hear. I don't think anyone's ever videotaped it. And
It was like leaves from trees and cutting on the floor. It was those demos.
Yeah. So that was sick. But anyway, so talking about my background is as a fine artist. I was a sculpture major, so like I learned how to like weld, and I was already really good with clay, and I learned how to do wood, and like we had a cool ass foundry at MassArt, which is why I went there, where you could like literally pour molten metal and make like things out of like bronze and aluminum and iron and like light shit on fire. It was awesome. But when Vanna like took off, we got signed by Epitaph like after only playing like what 8 shows, something.
Holy shit!
We weren't even expecting it, and we got. Well, that's a different story, but we'll go into that if you want to.
Oh yes, I do.
So like my background is in fine art, and you know, fine art really doesn't necessarily pay the bills. And I love doing crazy ass sculptures. I did like life size stuff, and it was like just wacky. But you know, that all kind of stopped with Vanna because we went on tour full time. And then when Vanna ended and I was home a lot, I was just like, I want to keep doing stuff. So I just kept myself busy making furniture for our house, posting it online. People were like, hey, can you make me one? I'm like, sure, I guess. And then like now I'm making stuff for more and more people that I know and don't know, just based on like Instagram and like connections I have online and shit. And like if I don't know how to do something and someone asks for it, I'm like, I'll go learn how to do that, I guess, and make that for you.
That's fucking cool.
Like the first Resin River table I made was for Brandon, actually. I wish he was on this because he could talk more about it. Where he was like, dude, these Resin River tables are sick. Like, could you make me something like that? I was like, honestly, I have very little work with resin. I know you saw me encase my mustache in resin, and I did some of the stuff with that at MassArt, but like, I have very limited woodworking skills. I guess I'll figure it out. Like a year later, I finally figured out how to do all the things that were involved and made my first table for him. And then other people saw that. I'm like, hey, can I get one? And they're like, oh, can I do this? Can you make this for me? And I was just like, well, shit, this is fun. This is like making art, but people like it and will buy it. This is way better than fine art. So,
dude, your stuff's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The coolest thing is watching the videos of the resin get poured into the live edge. Oh my god!
I know that
is like
I have to do this in every pour because I know people just love that. Even if they would never buy one, they're just like, oh, I fucking love the resin when it just slides right in.
That oddly satisfying. I feel like you'd be the star of oddly satisfying on Instagram. Like it really is one of those things. It's varnish porn and resin porn. Like you're watching it go in.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing that right now, and got some things in the works. You know, I'm actually just doing a couple pieces right now for the first time, just like making them without like a commission. So I'm just making because I want to, and I'm gonna put them up for sale. So you know, spoiler alert: the shit's not cheap. So right. when it does come out, it's gonna be expensive. But like, you know, if people are interested, like I work with their budgets and shit, and like they're like, I want this. I'm like, cool. How much money are you looking to spend? They're like, this much. And I'm like, all right, let's lower our expectations a little bit. What can we make? Or I'm like, you know, like let's work something out, and I'll meet halfway because I just like making shit. But it's hard and it takes a lot of time. But I'd rather do that than a job.
So spoiler alert, send me your email for the woodworking because I have a lot of nurses that I've shown your stuff to, and they're like, this would go great in my living room as a cocktail table. And I'm like, fucking whatever you want. Just make sure you go to someone that makes it by hand. Don't buy it from IKEA. Like, you're not going to get the same fucking thing.
I don't think you would find anything like this at IKEA. And granted, like,
no way.
We all grew up in an age where, like, you get IKEA. Like, that's your first, like, apartment. Like, that's what you buy. You're like, fuck yeah, it's so cheap. It fits right in, blah, blah, blah. Like, but a couple years later, like, it's already falling apart and, like, whatever. That's kind of where this whole thing came out of. Like, me and my wife were just like, I can't find anything that fits this space, or like it's not right. It looks cheap and whatever. And we started just being like, fuck it. We went to art school. Let's just make it. And then every time I made something, I figured out a little more of how to do another skill. And now I'm just like I'm not like a woodworker by trade. Like I'm a fine artist and a musician, but I like just kind of like meandered into this realm, and it's pretty cool.
That is really, really cool. I enjoy it, man. I mean, keep posting as much as you can because as soon as you posted like you pouring, it's fucking like Chris said. I just like you get like the hairs on the back of your neck, and you're like, oh god, I can't wait. There's gonna be no bubbles, and he smooths it out, and it's just really fun.
Into the little live edges. And...
Dude, this last one I did, it was a really cool piece of Siberian elm. From like a historic tree in a South Boston park. Unfortunately, it got like some disease from like an invasive elm beetle from Asia.
Oh yeah, you said the fungus killed it, right?
Yeah. So the beetle carries fungus on its legs, and the beetle bores into it and eats it. Whatever. Yeah, you'd think that would kill it, but like the thing that like actually did it in was the mildew or the fungus that was on its legs. Because that's
wait. How did you get the boards, and how did you get them hewn down to table specs?
Yeah, did you plane them yourself, or did you get them already planed? Like, did you have to go through that shit too? Because planing gives me anxiety.
Yeah,
amongst other things.
Planing is rough, but I don't even have a planer, so I use like a router sled. But back up, this guy I found on Facebook Marketplace who sells live edge shit. I actually got something from him before. I got some like walnut slabs that were actually really good. And I came back to him and I was like, hey, like I got some projects coming up. Can I check out what you have? So I went to his like workshop and he has all these beautiful walnuts, some oak and stuff. But everything was kind of like too big and like not like quite what I was looking for and a little too expensive. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, I'm going to leave with something, but like I'm not sure what. Because I'm like, this is the first piece where I'm just going to make not with like an idea in mind, not with someone who's like, I want this. I'm just going to make it. And then whatever comes out, I'm going to sell it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, like I got this Siberian elm. And I was like, go on. And he's like, there's this old tree and it's super historic. And they were going to cut it down and just burn it. Like literally just burn it to make sure that the
fungus doesn't spread.
The fungus doesn't spread. But someone called him for some reason and they gave him like basically all the tree. I don't know if he had to pay for it or anything. But they were like, hey, how about we give it to like a woodworker and they're going to mill it down into many pieces. And that way it can be made into like family heirlooms and shit. So like this, once a person like kiln fires the wood, mm-hmm. It would kill anything that's in it, like bugs, mildew, fungus, like whatever. And you kind of need that, or else the wood gets really warpy and whatever. It's not good for furniture. So you need to kiln dry or air dry for like 2 years. Something
Holy
stupid.
Shit!
Not 2 years. It's probably too long, but
forever.
Quicker.
Forever.
Yeah. To dry it out. Yeah. So that killed all the stuff in it. But he's like, hey, I got these 2 pieces. They're kind of odd. They were like the cutoffs from some usable wood. These pieces are unusable because they have like all these like caverns and shit
and imperfections
and imperfections, whatever. I'm like, that's like my bread and butter. Like I love shit that's weird and imperfection. So he showed it to me, and there's all these like weird little grooves in it and shit that like isn't from how the tree grew. It's from like how the beetles bore into it and how the fungus like ate into it and whatever. I'm like, that's gonna look sick filled with resin. So I got those pieces and I poured them, and you can see them on my Instagram right now, and I'll make it into a cool coffee table and a side table and just put them up for sale.
What's your Instagram for your furniture?
It's Marquee Craftworks.
Marquee Craftworks. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, you can check me out there. You can see all the stuff I've done before. I've also done. I like doing stuff that has like, this is where my sculpture background comes in. Like one of the biggest things I learned from my teachers, because I already knew how to make sculptures. I already kind of had my own like voice and ideas of things. Mm-hmm. They really taught me like the story of materials. Like why do you make it out of this thing versus this thing? Like what does that say about the piece or the idea behind the piece or what you're trying to convey? And it just like got me really thinking. I'm like really into like just how the material naturally is, like how mm-hmm. it like the story behind it or like the wear on it, whatever. And I love getting pieces of wood or like reclaimed stuff that has like such wear on it that like you couldn't replicate it, you couldn't fabricate it. It's what it is, and like to somehow encapsulate that or include that in a piece, I think is awesome. So like I try to do that a lot. I learned how to weld too, and I kind of remembered that from art school days. So I do a lot of metal work within the wood. I try to like incorporate like, you know, welded stands and stuff.
That's
within
pretty
it.
rad.
Yeah.
So
I had, like,
all included.
Yeah, I love this like industrial look of just like, you know, like metal and wood and just like fucking slap it all together, and it's old and it's got fucking crud all over it. You like that kind of shit, you'll love what I'm doing.
That's pretty awesome.
It looks good in person too.
Give me 2 seconds, okay?
1, 2.
You
Wow.
back?
Kid lied.
Ever.
Who else? What we got here?
Sean, you have the chat up? Is you're
Yeah.
Yeah,
tracking with that?
Job for a cowboy is country, right? Someone B. Fraser says.
Sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Carve her a statue of Sean's mustache. I don't know who her is, but sure, why not? Who's paying for it? Is this where we pre-order for the mustache? Yeah, again, yes. Accepting what is it? Cash App and Venmos for mustache hairs.
Dude, you know what happened to me recently? Fucking PayPal emailed me and were like, "You can't use PayPal anymore."
Dude, I
And was
saw
like,
that.
"What the hell are you talking about?" So I like called them and they were like, "Yeah, you can't use it anymore," and they wouldn't tell me why. I was like, "Okay, hang on a second," because I've been a PayPal member for like 12 years. I have a debit card. I have a $2,000 credit with you guys. Like, what do you mean? They
Oh,
just put me on. And it's because I sell raffle tickets for my canvases that I do, and they literally canceled my entire PayPal account because I was doing raffle tickets through them, and I didn't know
What?
that I couldn't do that. Yeah, so I was like,
That's
okay,
crazy.
Pal.
you could tell your customers like, hey, you're doing this thing that you can't do, so like stop doing it, okay? But instead they just like completely delete your account.
Real fucking pal, huh?
Yeah, I was like, wow, cool. Yeah, thanks, pal.
Fucking
More like pay enemy.
yeah, pay enemy.
Enemy.
So crazy. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I
So-
really enjoy the artwork that you've been doing there. So it's really cool that you both, you know, came from Mass Art and you as well, Chris. So now, like, what's going on over there? What are you doing? Are you doing anything art based besides doing music? Because I know music is sort of like it is
You don't-
art, yeah, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. This is my art space for now. This is like my creative outlet for sure. This, in terms of like what I'm creating as art, this and jujitsu are my outlets, and that keeps me pretty functional as a human. The music thing has been huge, especially like through the pandemic. Just having something to like having this little box to go and scream into and make music is just like it's like magic for getting me through hard times. But you asked about small business, and I did just want to plug how cool it's been to see it. Sean kind of touched on this, but like how cool it's been to see my friends as artists creating over the past year. So in terms of like small business that I choose to support, it's number one, my friends who are creating art, whether it's Sean making tables or like Evan's music. Evan is involved in so many music projects. So like I'm so proud of Evan. I get so pumped to see his projects come to fruition. So that's been something that's really cool. Like whenever I think about my friends and their art that they create, and like Evan's wife actually does paintings, and we ordered one of her paintings. It's fucking amazing. It's like one of the best pieces of art we have in our house. We have an original piece of art in our house that we're like so proud of, that we love.
It's awesome.
So that's something that I've been super stoked on. And then also over the past year, I've really become aware of how important it is to support farms in your area.
Extremely.
Because I don't know if you guys remember, but like a year ago, people were having a hard time getting food to their houses. Like that's fucking crazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember going to the grocery store. I have pictures in my like photos app from a year ago, and I go to the grocery store and the shelves are empty. I was like, this is society collapsing. So we like totally shifted our focus over the last year to farms that are local, and that's been really awesome for us. Which may be old news for some people, but you don't think in all areas that you can actually get the food you need from local farms. But that's been super cool. So anyway, that's
No, I
This rant.
100% agree with that. I mean, when you can go on your phone and fucking have Amazon drop off top ramen, I mean, it's real hard to support. You know what I mean? It's hard to go to a local farm and spend the money, but you're getting, happy, healthy animals, and you're supporting people that are working with their hands and really proud of what they're doing. And, it builds a sense of community as well, because now you're getting that, they planted this. It's not coming from fucking Market Basket, which is a New England thing, or Price Chopper, or wherever you may live. But
Exactly.
it's really cool for us to be able to, in New Hampshire, it's huge for us to be able to just stop on the side of the road and buy free range eggs. And then you just go one state down and you're in Massachusetts and you're like, I'll go to Stoppy to go get some eggs. I think I'll go there. You know what I mean?
I actually have a farm right next to me, and they have free range eggs. And I'll do one better. It's even one of those places where you go into the little shed, and it's like honor system. Like you leave some dollars in the cash box.
We do that
That's
up
sick.
here so much. We have you can get heavy cream and real milk, like raw milk people sell and stuff like that. So it's really cool to support these little small mom and pop places, because I feel like that's
Where
our
in New Hampshire are
pastime.
you?
Where in New Hampshire? I'm up in the Auburn area. So I'm right next to Manchester. It's the most Pleasantville fucking weird town ever. It feels like Pleasantville.
My wife is from in the White Mountains there in Conway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's not too far.
I lived in North Conway for just about a year before I relocated down to Florida.
How'd you like it up there?
It was nice. I started working at a Levi's and became a manager within 3 weeks of working there, which was pretty funny. And I mean, there's not a lot of fashion in North Conway, New
What are you
Hampshire.
talking about? Levi's fashion.
So Berlin and North Conway, New Hampshire remind me of Silent Hill. And I know that I'll get a lot of shit for saying that, but it's like a fucking time capsule, especially Berlin, New Hampshire. Their newest movie is fucking Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire. It's not even the new guy, So, see, 14% milk in the chat. Berlin is Silent Hill. See, you go there and you're like, this feels real weird. They still have, I'm pretty sure, fucking Ames and Bradley's up in Berlin, New Hampshire. And only New England people will understand that reference.
I remember those. They're still there.
They were the original Target. People are like, oh yeah, I love Target. I'm like, we had two competing places.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love North Conway actually. I got a bunch of friends there. It's a really cool place. There's a place called the Local Grocer, and they have a lot of really great. I mean, they're another kind of farm to table type spot. There's a restaurant there. It's farm to table everything, and then they have a grocery, vitamins. There's a yoga studio upstairs. It's a pretty cool place. But yeah, I like that area. White Mountains are awesome. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. New Hampshire's cool.
It is. It's super quiet. I didn't think I'd like living up here. I mean, the first I've been up here 7-8 years now. I met my wife up here, but I moved up here because there were no jobs available in Massachusetts at the time. A lot of hospitals went through this. There's this 7-year high and low, and it's a lot of people that are retiring, that are old, or new people coming into the field. So then the job market was really all tightened up. So I got laid off from Brigham and Women, and then I got, within 24 hours on LinkedIn, hired in New Hampshire. And I was like, oh, this is weird. So I moved up here because it was one of the few hospitals that still does relocations. So they were like, hey, we'll pay for your first and last, just come up here. And I'm like, I don't know if I can live in New Hampshire. And then when I came up here, I was like, I don't think I can go back to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not having traffic, I didn't think that was a crazy deal. But when you live in Revere and have to only travel down to Brigham and Women, which is probably a 20-25 minute drive, but it takes you an hour and 30 and all of your fucking sanity, that's when I started to draw the line that I was like, every week I lose 10 hours of being crazy, and I'm going to have a stroke before I'm 30. So I need to do something or drive somewhere less toxic than Starrow Drive. You know what I mean?
Storrow Drive, man.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I love Storrow, but I never have to drive on it during peak hours.
Oh, it is the worst. The worst.
Shout out to Revere, though, man. Revere, what a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out if that's sarcasm or if that is a genuine, beautiful place.
I was
'cause
wondering. It's a little bit of both.
you stared right into the camera, and I'm like, he's definitely nuts.
Revere is definitely on the up and up, but like there is still like the salt of the earth, like Revere attitude alive and well. I've been there recently.
Revere is
Oh,
an
yeah.
old chain,
Nick lives
man.
in Revere.
It's timeless.
I wish-
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Nick lives in Revere. That's right. And it's not to mention, yeah, it's 14% milk just said Revere's gonna be the new Miami.
Dude, I'm there for it. It's gonna be Tampa. Don't give it Miami.
So over the pandy, what are some movies or shows that you picked up on? And not Coco Melon, Sean. I know you have a kid, and I know you have a kid, Chris. So
I
not
don't know
Coco
what
Melon.
it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank God. I was over a friend's house today to visit, and I watched like 2 episodes of Coco Melon. And if I had to listen to one more song about how good peas and squash were, it was going to be the fucking end for me.
Waffles and Mochi is a great kids show. That's on
Waffles and
Netflix.
Mochi is amazing.
Dude,
All right, so we'll have to
Michelle
give that.
Obama.
Michelle Obama, yeah, she's in
Queen.
it. It's puppets and it's about food, and they have
Ooh,
like
puppets.
guest chefs from like around the world, and like Commons in an episode, and like
That
it's
sounds
wild.
dope.
Jack Black, I'm pretty sure, does one of the songs that's like animated and it's insane. Like,
He is so talented, man. He needs to be protected at all costs too.
dude, his videos on his Instagram during the pandemic have been insane.
So good.
He's been getting wild with the editing.
Did you watch the? Did you ever watch the clip of him with the fan at Comic-Con and he's following behind him? He's got like a Tenacious D shirt on, and the kid turns around and makes like the coming gesture because he's like, oh, and Jack Black's like, that's the most flattering introduction I've ever gotten.
Jesus Christ.
Oh
It's
man,
amazing.
like you said, Kevin Billingsley is the Jack Black of Maine, but like if you put the two of them in a room, I feel like you'd get a better show than fucking Rick and Morty or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Or one of them would die.
yeah.
There can be only one. It's a Highlander rule.
Okay, I'll go with that. Kevin Billingsley and Jack Black, Highlander rule. But what are some movies and shows maybe that you binged over the pandy? Where, like, I know a lot of people love The Office and Parks and Rec, so those are definitely two that get tossed up a lot.
I'm
I feel
still.
like I've been watching those for like 8 years straight now. Both of those shows. Like
It's off Netflix now, man. The Office was there the whole time, and I've seen it, 5, 6 times through. Evan, even last time we hung out, we watched The Office pretty much nonstop. But I'm still like dreading that they took it off of Netflix because I just
Yeah.
can't have it in my fingers.
it's that
We've been watching Friends though. Have you guys watched Friends?
Not recently.
I've watched
Not
it,
recently.
but I don't watch it. I watch New Girl a lot now.
I didn't watch Friends when it was on. We're doing Friends now. Friends is sick. New Girl's awesome too, though.
Dude, I did a podcast interview with a friend of ours, Rick Shaw from Iwabo.
Yeah, I watched that.
Nerd podcast, yeah. And we talked a lot about Marvel stuff, and like we went
Yeah.
deep on like WandaVision, and now I'm watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, which
Yeah, me too.
isn't as good, but it's still like really good. And what else do we? Oh, The Mandalorian was really fucking sick. Like I'm not even that big into Star Wars, but like it was just like quality shit.
Yeah.
Actually, Kelly's watching Mayans right now. We've been binging that.
Oh,
lately.
nice.
Which
Is that the new Sons of Anarchy show?
Yeah, but it's Mayans different.
Yeah, it's the other gang, right? So it's like a branch off show. Is it still written by Kurt Loder or whatever?
Yep.
It is?
Kurt Loder from MTV News.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Way off!
But like, hey, only our age will get that reference.
That's very true. Yeah, do you remember when there's actually music videos on MTV? Yeah, I do. Not the fucking Real World or Road Rules. Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah. What else?
Dark on Netflix. Dark.
Dark is absolutely phenomenal.
So I watched
Oh,
Dark.
that was so
season
good.
1. I watched Dark season 1 like maybe like 2 years ago, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is sick. And then I saw like during the pandemic, I was like, season 2's out, and I was like, oh, sick, I'm gonna watch that. And I watched episode 1, and I was like, Oh, I don't remember anything. Like I remember the premise, but I don't remember any of the like characters. And if you watch Dark, you know there's like it's multi-time. Like
Yep.
there's
We
like
had the same experience, yeah.
the young version, the old version, and maybe there's an even older version and a third time because it's like time travel's involved. And I'm just like, I don't remember anyone's like how they're related to it, and it jumps back. I was like, I can't watch this because I'm gonna have to watch season 1 all over again.
You just
watched
gotta
it
like
sick.
you just gotta
So
buckle
good.
in and get it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Have you guys seen the Stand, the Stephen King story, The Stand? They did like a newer version of that.
Really?
So right now on Apple TV, which I would imagine you have, if not, you have a Fire Stick or something. But Paramount has like a trial thing, and it's like a free month, right?
Okay.
So Paramount free trial. There's a show called Clarice, which is about Clarice Starling right after the events of fucking
Silence of the Lambs with Hannibal.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
It's really good. And then there's all of Ink Master, which I've been watching. I never watched it, and now I'm on like season 10, so I've seen like almost all of Ink Master. And then there's The Stand, which is amazing. Like,
Really?
yeah, dude, so good. It's like 10 episodes, I think. It's the story of The Stand, but it's just so well done. And Stephen King had a heavy hand involvement in it, and it came out really cool. That's some things that I've been binging so many different things. I'm watching The Walking Dead again. It's like my 25th time. I'm like into season 3. Those graphic novels are like everything to me. So
You and me both. I mean, I was a huge comic book collector, especially when I got... So from the time I was like 6 years old up until I moved from Massachusetts, I had a subscription to New England Comics in Malden, Massachusetts. So they had this like giant fucking filing cabinet. So every Friday I would go in and get my file, which would have all my comics in it. And like literally I was just blowing money like I was a baller at New England Comics, like every pay period. And like literally my parents just texted me recently and they're like, are you gonna get your fucking comics out of our house? Like you own a storage unit, right? And I was like, I think I'm gonna have to get a bigger storage unit, to be 100% honest with you, because with The Walking Dead, with like comic books like Invincible that just came out on Amazon, like that's an unbelievable
Kirkman's newer
show.
one, right?
Yes, if you want Game of Thrones style twists and turns for an adult show, Invincible is absolutely phenomenal. I can't stress that enough.
I've heard it's great. I haven't read it yet. But Walking Dead, I mean, that, like, obviously the comic ended a little while back now, but the show's still going. There's one more season. They've got all their spin-offs, and like, I've been like, a lot of people lost interest in the show at some point, but like, I'm still super invested in it. I love seeing that universe come to life. I'm hoping somebody will eventually do an animation of the comic book, like shot for shot.
You and me both, buddy.
Like, that would just be so fucking amazing to see. I don't know if that'll happen. Probably.
I don't know if this is like a deep cut. I don't know. Like, I'm not that into comics anymore. Like, I was like deep into comics in the 90s. Like you said, I had a subscription and I would go in every month and just blow all the money I had. I realized I had a problem, so I stopped. But I still love the idea of it. I love all the characters and stuff. But a little while ago, my brother got me East of West, which is like an Image comic. Okay. And it's a really cool concept. It's the concept is during like the Civil War, some like comet or something hit down like in like Virginia area or somewhere, like during like a pinnacle battle, and all sides took that as a sign, as like an armistice. They're like, that's it, like we have to stop. And they broke up the United States into like different regions. Like the Union stayed the Union, the Confederacy stayed a thing, Louisiana stayed like a freedmen place. Most of the Midwest was like Native American country, and like the West Coast was like Asian. I forget if it was Japan or China, whatever. Yeah. But in this world, that's how it is. And it's like kind of like, you know, not steampunk, but like futuristic, but with like stuff from the past. Like,
that sounds really cool.
and it's Doomsday. So like, there's the 4 horsemen, and they're all like real weird. And Death has kind of broken off from the horsemen, and because he fell in love with someone who's a human, and it's
This sounds so good.
That sounds sick.
dude.
He's like, I'm not into comics, but I'm about to drop the fucking coolest comic in the world on you that you're all gonna go out and buy tomorrow.
Well, my brother just like randomly got me the first episode for like a Christmas present years ago, and I was like, "This is sick." And then I went out and got like the next like compendiums or whatever. You know how they come up with like volumes of like and I was like, "This is really sick." I haven't gotten into it recently, so like I'm probably way behind, but like it's really cool. Like awesome art, awesome characters, awesome concept, and like just wild. Like,
did you guys watch Preacher at all? I was like,
no,
super
I heard
into the books. Dude, the show
Chris Campbell was really into that, right?
Yeah, Chris Campbell was into it for sure. But like, it was spectacular. But then the show ended up getting canceled a little sooner than they planned, so they wrapped it up like kind of in a not great way. I mean, it's good, but it's fucked up. That show was like, it's Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg and the fuck, I can't even think of the artist who actually did the comic, and they all did it together. It's pretty cool. If you haven't watched Preacher, watch it. It's nuts.
I did read the
Have you seen
comic
Seth
for Preacher.
Rogen's
That was
pottery that he's been doing?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He does pottery, like not water pipes, actual pottery.
Yeah, he does like ashtrays and like all kinds of like
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like Seth Rogen learned how to make beautiful ceramics in the last, I don't know, recently, and they're so cool. Like way cooler than anything that you think you can just go and learn how to make in ceramics. Like the dude is talented in multiple ways. He just discovered some hidden talent that he had.
That's sick.
I just want to say real quick, because so jumping back to the former question,
I love how much of a rabbit hole that you can go down when you just like let people talk. It's my favorite thing, so that's why I really wanted you guys to come on, because just from back in the day, like picking your brains as teenagers and being like, how do we go about this? You know what I mean? I remember Brandon a couple times just being, just do it. Like there's no magic to it. You just have to do it. And if you don't do it, you're not going to get out in front of people, and you're not going to make a dent in what you're trying to do. I mean, multiple times I had asked Kayum, like, is there ever a point where, because remember how I said, like, with I'm Thirsty Entertainment and things like that, you had to sell tickets sometimes, or you had to, because you weren't known, or they didn't trust you were going to have a draw or something like that. I mean, that was the least of you guys' problems, because Vanna was huge. But when you were someone small or starting out, it was always like, I felt like it was like a scam pay to play. Like, you had to sell 20 tickets, even if 20 friends didn't show up. But you know what I mean?
I don't know. I guess we got by because when we started playing shows, that wasn't a thing. And like, you're right. Like, we got like big in our area early enough that we never had. But like, I probably just wouldn't have. Like, I would have just been like, nah, you know, like.
Position, like when we got propositioned by Epitaph, you guys were full on like in school, so you were like, fuck, I don't know, like you guys all had to kind of weigh out the options of like what was worth.
Yeah, I had a full scholarship and I lost that to go on tour, and I was like, I'll come back to it. And then 12 years later, I'm like, probably not going to finish that last year art school, huh?
So wait, let's jump into that, because you said, like, you know, you played like 5 shows and then you were on Epitaph. So what?
It was probably more than 5, but
it was 5, like between 5 and 8.
Yeah.
Okay. Less than a dozen. Okay.
We were like playing for fun. Like, we just wanted to go fucking crazy and play songs we liked. And then all of a sudden we got a call, and that's a funny story, because I think they called Joe.
Can we back up how we got the call?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, please.
So, like, we had recorded a 5-song EP called "This Will Be Our Little Secret," and Chris wasn't on that. Joe Bragg. So, even going back further, well, we were practicing in a practice space that we shared with Therefore I Am in Boston, and it was just the 4 of us: Brandon, Nick, Evan, and me. And we were looking for a singer because, like we said, we had different band members before, but we were obviously moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of ours, Sarah Barr, who we met through another mutual friend, was like, "Oh, I have this friend. He's going to Mass Art. He's from Austin. Like he screams. He's in a band." And we hung out with Chris Priest at a party or something, and we became good friends. And we're like, "Yeah, come down to the practice space." And like he just screamed, and we were like, "This is sick! Like this is our guy." And he's like, "All right, well, it's summer now. I'm going to be up here in the fall. Catch you then." And we were like, "Cool, definitely." But in the meantime, we were like, "Well, we want to play shows now." And this other kid, Joe Bragle,
Bites.
The Ambulance. Bragle Bites on Instagram.
What a good dude.
I don't even know who knew him or how that came about. That was probably a Brandon connection.
I think Brandon was friends with me.
And he was like, "Yeah, I guess I'll scream for you guys for the meantime till Chris comes up."
Mm-hmm.
And he worked out pretty well, and we were like, "Cool, let's do this." And we started playing shows, and then eventually he was like, "Hey, this band's pretty sick. Could I just be like the full-time guy?" And at the time we were like, "Yeah, obviously you've been here. We played shows with you." And Chris still went to school, and he was like, "Yeah, no hard feelings, whatever. I'm just stoked to be here and whatever." Later on, Joe left and Chris filled the spot, so we were like, it's crazy because like Chris isn't the original singer, but like at the same time he kind of was. Like, had timing been different, he would have just been in the band. But we had Joe, and Joe got us, basically helped us get us signed to Epitaph.
That's so crazy.
While Joe was in the band, we were also friends with another person from Mass Art, Kyle Bryant. He was in the printmaking department. And he was like a hardcore kid from Maine, and he went to shows and stuff. And so we were naturally like friends with him. And his girlfriend at the time, or ex-girlfriend, worked at Pure Volume. I don't know if you remember Pure Volume.
I absolutely remember Pure Volume, man. Of course. That was the best way to find new bands.
Yeah.
It was. It really was.
And so because of that, his hookup there, he called in a favor to his, I think it was ex-girlfriend at that time. It was like, "Hey, there's this local band. They've just started, but like, they record an EP and they put it up on MySpace, and other places. And they're like, could I get them to be like a Pure Pick?" And a Pure Pick was you're on the front page of Pure Volume for a week. And that was like legit. Like, I don't know how other people got on that. I don't know if it was just like Pure Volume is like, "Yeah, you're good. I'm going to pick you." It was probably more like you paid a price and you would get on the front. So we got on there for free because we knew a person. And because of that, we were getting thousands and thousands of plays a day on our demos, essentially. Cool. And after like 2 or 3 days, we kept looking at the plays and we're like, "Holy shit, so many people are listening to music." We're like, "We're nobody, but like, this is awesome." Day like 3 or 4 of being a Pure Pick on Pure Volume, Joe Bragle, our singer at the time, gets a call from someone claiming to be Brett Gurewitz from Epitaph Records / Bad Religion. And they're like, "Hey, is this, Joe from VANNA?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It's Brett, from Epitaph Records. Like, we're interested in signing VANNA. Would you be interested?" He actually hung up on him because he thought it was prank calling him. It was like, motherfucker, like these kids, like
real fucking cute,
just trying to trick us and shit. But he ended up getting through to him finally. He was like, no, I'm really him and whatever. And then like Joe contacted us and let us all know, and we're like, "So we have an offer to sign with Epitaph Records," and we were like, "That doesn't make any sense. We haven't even sent out our demo to other labels." And we were like, at the time, we were like aiming pretty small because we were like, we're in school, we're not looking to like do this full time or whatever. Like, let's get on like an independent, like Eyeball Records is what we were thinking of, like, because Number 12 looks like you was on that, and we're like, cool, let's do like Eyeball. That would be sick. But we hadn't even sent the demos out yet. So like that's where we were in our band. Like we were like we hadn't even tried to get signed yet, and here we were getting signed by Epitaph. And so yeah, long story short, we did it because obviously.
Well, obviously he'd hang up because, I mean, you feel like you're getting honey-dicked if someone from Epitaph is calling and they're like, "We want to sign your band." You're like, "You're fucking catfishing me. There's no way possible that you're going to sign me."
Yeah, and then he was like, And then he was like, "Dude, I'm telling you now, this is Brett Gurewitz. I'm not lying. If you hang up with me again, that's it."
Yeah. That would have been funny if he hung up again.
Yes.
It never happened.
I'm doubling down, bitch. Richard James says, we met Nick and Gordon at the Chariot show at the ICC and then subsequently ran into them at a party in North Reading.
Right.
No reading.
No.
North Reading.
Sounds about right.
Reading. Yeah. That makes sense. That rings a bell. If Nick were on this call, he would have filled you in for sure. But that was a crazy time, and we practiced under Little Stevie's Pizza.
Yep.
Which was over by Berkeley School of Music.
Right across the street. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably still there. I don't know if
I mean, it was like a dungeon. I don't think they renovate the dungeon.
I filled it full of cement,
Right?
Yeah.
to get rid of the ghosts.
Do you guys remember? No, it wasn't that. That was a different practice space. But when that was the one in Alston when we were playing and we heard Piebald.
Yes, but I think there were two sound museums. I think that was the first
There
one.
was 3 sound museums.
Three.
Yeah,
Okay.
Three.
They had a monopoly. Practice spaces.
So,
But anyway, yeah.
yeah, when you guys got onto Epitaph, right? What was so from that point forward? How did booking go? Was it sort of like, here's your tour, go, or did you still have to do? See, you're all laughing, so I feel like this is like a fucking another nightmare story where you're gonna be like, to be honest with you.
Well, think about a bunch of teenagers getting signed to a label who have no idea what they're doing, and
We'd only been a band for a couple months, realistically.
we had no agent, we had no manager,
Mhm.
so we didn't know what the fuck we were supposed to do. Like Epitaph, even they figured that we had that stuff figured out. We didn't, so we were like, okay, so we essentially self-booked, self-managed for a while, probably a lot longer.
2 years, I think, one or 2 years.
Yeah.
Which probably hurt us a lot because we were touring with bands like Escape the Fate who were pretty much put together and had like top management and producers and booking agents and stuff. Where we're like, so what does a booking agent do? And they're like, oh, well they got us on this tour. How'd you get us on this tour? And we were like, the label, Epitaph, they put us on the tour, right? And they're like, yes, maybe for this one. They threw your bone.
Pure luck is how we got on this tour. We were just in the right room at the right time. Tour, you say?
even when we got the from first to last tour the first time, it was because we happened to be on some tour that probably wasn't very good, but we played at the Knitting Factory in Hollywood, and one of the members happened to be in the crowd and saw us and was like, hey, this band's sick. Let's bring them on our next tour, which I assume that's how all tours get booked before I knew anything about the industry, but it's not. That was a pure coincidence that they were just a cool band who liked to take cool bands on tour with them, and their management and booking agent allowed them to be like, yeah, sure, this band no one's ever fucking heard of, why not? And they were like, cool, because they're coming on our next tour. And they're like, we like them a lot. They're coming on the next tour. And they're like, let's get them on the next tour. Roll with them.
So you went out a bunch with them, huh?
Yeah, it was weird. The first one was a short tour. It was maybe only a week.
Yep.
But it was with them, 4 Year Strong, who were friends of ours at the time, because also from Massachusetts. This band Brighton, Alisana was on that band and on that tour. I think that was it. There might have been one more.
No, you're right. It was Brighton opened. 4 Year Strong was second. We played over 4 Year on that bill.
And then Alisana, and then the second time we went on tour with them, it was with us, 4 Year Strong, Pierce the Veil.
Pierce the Veil. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. And
Really? Pierce the Veil?
Yeah. And
What was that like?
It was very early on. We didn't.
That's what I mean.
They were still kind of young. They were awesome though. They were just great dudes. They're always so nice to us.
Yeah.
Even though they got huge after that, and whenever we ran into them, we would hang out with them. They remembered us. We'd talk about that tour. I remember one time we went through San Diego and we needed a place to stay, and I think Vic actually let us sleep in there. They had a motorhome or whatever for tour, and they were like, it's in our driveway. It's got beds in it. You guys want to sleep in that?
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
From Black My Heart, slept in the trailer. in
Who?
that RV. Me and Wheeler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Vic is such a good dude. I stayed in touch with Vic for a long time. That was one of those like
Right.
tour friendships. Yeah, those dudes are awesome.
I think it was really cool too.
Yeah, I love that band.
That band for me came out of fucking completely left field, and I fell in love with them. Like they came out of nowhere for me. I had never heard of them, and then as soon as I had heard about them, they had already gained a ton of traction. So I felt
They
like
were
I was
really
so far
talented.
behind.
Yeah, they were super talented. It like wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but like I knew they were good at what they were doing, and I could see that they were talented and very successful, and like the way they wrote music and stuff. And but beyond that, like for me, it was just like they were just awesome humans. Like it was just so cool to tour with them and to like see them blow up. You know.
It was so cool to see a Latin influence put into a genre of music that doesn't have any part of that. You know what I mean? So like, it was really cool to hear flamenco guitar and some of their interludes, or just like these salsa merengue type beats where you're like, oh shit, I can dance to this at a show and not just punch people. You know what I mean? So that was really cool. But so I don't want to keep you guys much longer. You've been on here for 2.5 hours. You are officially the longest band on this show, which is really cool. And it's been so
Nice.
So this is why I like this so much. It's been so much fun talking to you guys. It's been really natural. My thing is I give you guys like softball, like, hey, this is what we're pretty much going to talk about. But whatever you want to throw in, I want you to throw in.
But
So-
you give us beer too, so that helps.
That's it. I try to loosen you up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we can't go to a bar in real life, so why don't we just hang out online and drink a little bit? You know what I mean? And it's my pleasure to host you guys, because to get your time and to get in front of you, especially when I know for a fact that INSPIRIT's going to take off, we've missed this. And it's no offense to when there were changes in the lineup. We've missed this version of Vanna more than you guys could ever imagine. My fucking cell phone keeps lighting up because there are people watching and saying how much this is making them feel better. And during a time where people aren't feeling better, and see 14% milk legit missed this lineup whole world. Like, everyone's watching right now, and everyone is really excited, and this is giving them I'm going to sound like a douchebag, this is giving them a new hope to go forward and take on INSPIRIT and grab it by the fucking horns. See, best 12 minutes of 2020. You know what I mean? Like, this is...
For sure.
People are getting so excited because, like, this was the lineup we grew up to love. This is the lineup we signed up to go see when we went to local shows, and this is the lineup that treated each and every person at that show with individuality and respect. And I don't think you guys know how much that means to the local scene. There were a lot of people that would come through on tours and they'd be kind of cunty, and it kind of changed our idea of how those people were in and out of fame. Whereas even when you guys picked up steam and you were going on tour with these big bands, you always made time for people that would show up at shows and just wanted a picture or to talk or to get a signed something. You know what I mean? So for that, the local scene in New England really thanks you. And it's not me speaking for that. These are plenty of people that feel the exact same way. So whether it be some piece of shit at a show that Evan had to punch out, or some other person that was just really thankful to be there that night, it really meant a lot to us and kind of shaped us into the adults that we are today by keeping us out of, harm's way and keeping us into a community where we all felt and shared the same feelings and emotions and same style of music that we liked. You know what I mean? So as we close out this interview, I guess, are there any things that you'd like to bring up? Are there any things you'd like to plug? What you want to work on a new album? You're doing demos. What is in the future for INSPIRIT, and what can we expect in the months and years to come? Also, if New Hampshire starts to open up and I get the approval to have something outdoors, this isn't to put you on the spot, this is to ask you in the future, would you be interested if I gave you enough time to fly from fucking Texas, obviously, to come and play in the state of New Hampshire? Because this state needs music and art more than it's ever, as does every other state during this pandemic. So I want to know Is
I
this a
don't
stop that you'd like to
I don't
be
want
in the
to-
future?
I don't want to ruin the vibe, but like, I'll have to talk to our touring manager.
Oh, man. What's a touring manager, Sean? What do they do?
No, we don't have a booking agent. But no,
Fuck yeah.
no, we're down. Like,
Yeah.
again, like the whole reason for this band, it was born out of boredom and solitude and just kind of like reclaiming a friendship, and like you said, like that vibe that we had missed since we were all together. Different circumstances kind of tore us apart. Vanna kept going and doing its thing and had a great life, that I was fortunate enough to be part of the whole time, like ups and downs and whatever. But like you said, like this vibe, brings back like old memories and old connections that like were really special. And we're just kind of reliving that / rekindling it and doing it for fun. Like we had started to when Vanna first started, like when we were just like a couple art kids just getting together playing music for fun. So like that's kind of where we're at right now. Like you said, like we're practicing. A couple of us are writing and practicing tomorrow, like in person, which is awesome that we get to do that. But like we've been writing remotely, for months, and just like talking to each other and like making our own merch, making our own plans and ideas. Like we love to do some shows, like when we can, like get together. This is never going to be like a full-time thing, unfortunately, or fortunately, for us, because we have families and shit.
Mhm.
But we're going to just keep doing it as long as we can, as long as we're still happy creating. And I was going to answer your question some other way. What was there was like a couple questions in your final thing. Oh no, the feeling's mutual about what you were saying about like how everything like we did affected you and the generation that went to shows, seeing us at that age. Like you guys think that like we kept you out of trouble or kept you sane or like whatever, but like to be honest, like we don't know where we would have been if we hadn't been able to like connect with the scene and the people in New England and the greater scene here. And like that made us as humans, as the adult men that we are now. Like that shaped us like just as much, like in the pure spirit of like hardcore and underground music and stuff and DIY music. It's like a give and take. Like there's no, I know it's super cliche, but like there's no us without you,
Right.
Like the fact that everyone was there and all these like fans and friends and people we know and people part of the scene, whether it's promoters or people that just went to shows a lot or other bands and like people that like made it all work. Like that shit was all like interconnected. So like we're just the faces that a lot of people know, but like we remember a lot of faces and a lot of people that like made it all work, and that we couldn't be more grateful for all of that.
Yeah, we never took that for granted. We loved our fans, and we felt so lucky that people cared enough to come out and see us and support us. And Vanna was never like a to be cool band. Like we just did it because we loved it. So when so many people connected with it, it was even more special to us because we're just being us and doing what we love, and these people all connect and support it and feel it with us. So like it was always special. Like taking pictures, like signatures, whatever, like all that stuff. That of course we would always have time for that because that was like the least we could do to show how much we appreciated the support and love we got.
Yeah.
It was really cool. You guys were really never off-putting, and I think that stuck with so many fucking people. Because you put people, it's almost like 40-year-old version. You putting the pussy up on a pedestal. but like you're putting the talent that you love up on this pedestal, and as a human being you just want to be treated with the same respect that you put out, and you guys more than delivered that every time. Like, you'd be in the middle of packing up your shit to go home and someone would be like, excuse me, could I just, and you guys would be like, oh yeah, just give us 2 seconds, throw something inside the trailer and then take a picture or sign something, and it was really, really cool.
Mainly because we were trying to get out of like loading the gear.
But it is like a shared legacy. Like, you guys have all kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, I don't think if we didn't have all of those people at all those shows, I don't think it would have been so special. Like, the memories that we have to look back on, it's a legacy, but it's only possible because all of the people that are involved. And New England it's really special for that and for Vanna. And I hope that there's a similar energy from other places for INSPIRIT too, because we definitely want to play shows in New England, but we also want to find that energy in other places around the world selectively. Like, we're not going to be full-time touring, but we would love to find those pockets, those communities across the world and play shows for them.
Oh yeah.
And I think that is more than possible because, like I said, not enough people have put 2 and 2 together that this is the same band we all grew up in love with. It's just a different name now and a different time period. But I think that once the ball gets rolling and things are back to normal, I think people are going to be like, oh shit, I'm going to go see them. I'm going to go buy a ticket to go see them. You know what I mean? Because it's still that same feel-good feeling knowing that you're around. So when we see people fall off, like we mentioned, Too Late the Hero, like, I miss watching Kevin Billingsley play live. I thought he was a fucking phenomenal artist, you know what I mean? So with you all being back in the picture and, you know, it's the original lineup, I just want to say thank you on behalf of everyone for coming back into the picture and giving us something that we can look forward to. Because right now, like I said, not much to look forward to, but we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, okay? That's the nice portion.
Well, you know, that's a bonus because the really special thing about this band is the 5 of us as people and friends coming together again and creating again. So, like, people caring about it and, like, you know, it mattering to people is like it's more and more just like whipped cream on the pie, because, like, I mean, I'm if no one cared, I would be fine with that. I'm having so much fun with these guys and, like, being a part of their lives again and creating music together again. Like, that's enough for me. But the fact that people are excited, it's like, it's all bonus. It's just like, this is so cool. Like, that's amazing. I'm honored to be, like, creating music again that people are, like, excited about. But I'm having such a good time with these dudes that, like, we could be doing this in a tin can and I'd be happy. So.
And literally, Evan, you just encompass this whole hangout. You just literally told everyone what they wanted to hear, which is, this is the group that has the chemistry, the bond, and the family style, where even if you were playing the fucking 1 person, 0 people, or 10,000, you're all happy because you're together and you're making music. And that speaks
that was always our
volumes, man. You know, that speaks volumes. So before we go here, do you want to plug any songs, sites, shows, plans, release dates? Is there anything that you want to plug?
I would like to say I play in a band called The Spill Canvas, which is a really cool emo band that I was a fan of for many years. And I was lucky enough to cross paths with these guys, and they brought me into the fold, and I played lead guitar for them. We did a record called Conduit that came out on March 5th. So that's out there in the world. We're really excited about it. I'm super excited about it. So that was fun. I'm writing a new solo record for anyone that likes my solo stuff, Wind and Sails.
We definitely do.
I've been demoing. So I'll be recording a record hopefully sooner than later, but that's on the way. And then we're working on new INSPIRIT stuff. And everything we're doing is really great. I'm really excited about it all. So that is my piece.
Oh yeah.
And the other 2 fellas over here?
I would say check out Evan's stuff. Check out Sean's furniture. Check out Brandon's other projects. Brandon's in a band called Lions, and then he's in that other project that I don't think has a name
I don't have the
yet.
name
But
yet. With Duo
go
from
find
that
Brandon on
guy.
Instagram. Yeah, whatever he's up to is sick. Go find it. And then Nick is like the most amazing tattoo artist ever. And
Yes.
if anyone in New England wants a tattoo,
He's
and
more
has-
famous than any of us right now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like
he's killing it.
starstruck when I get to hang out with Nick.
This is a Nick piece right here.
So it's
That's fucking amazing. Amazing.
Good.
It's so awesome. And not to mention, I feel like we need to rename MacGyver to Brandon Davis because he fucking does everything. And when I seen he started doing vans for like glamping, I was like, are you shitting me? I just learned how to make cutting boards and he's making fucking home vans.
Dude,
Like,
he wants me to make countertops with resin rivers for his
Yes.
glamping. Like, dude, okay, so here's like a little aside thing because
Yes.
obviously he's not on this because he doesn't drink, but Brandon Davis, like maybe the unsung hero, or maybe he's sung, I can't tell, of INSPIRIT because he's
He's
like
the backbone.
he's really the backbone of it. Like, you know, whether it's like organizing or like, you know, having a studio in his house and kind of like pushing to get things moving and talking about merch and doing this. And like, he's really been like the one like who orchestrated like INSPIRIT really like getting together and everyone kind of like rekindling old friendships and shit. So like that needs to be said. But like, yeah, Brandon Davis, very multifaceted person, international man of mystery, and can play all instruments and do all kinds of things. And yeah, man,
National treasure if there ever was one.
oh yeah, if you look up stoic in the dictionary, his picture is right next to it. Because there's been so many times where I've watched him interact with people and I'm like, I'm not sure if he's joking or if he's serious. I'm like,
you'll never know.
yeah, exactly. And then you
Yeah.
watch him skateboard and you're like, Jesus Christ, what can't you do? What can't you do?
He can. He's also got a lot of reptiles. We haven't even gotten into that.
I remember he had an alligator
that.
at one point or some shit, right?
So early on in the Vanna's touring career, he would go out and just catch lizards in the desert wherever we were and whatever, and like take them. You know, he got a little terrarium. We'd just have them in the van, and we'd just like we got little live, lizards and stuff. But there was one time where our van broke down on our first tour, and we had to leave the van behind. And luckily, a friend of ours let us use her 4Runner, and she pulled our trailer, and we continued on. And the tour circled back around so we got our van again. And he had left the terrarium with the lizards in the back of the van. And the lizards were like rock solid, just like dried to a crisp.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Jerky.
Sure.
He was
Mad Max jerky
He
lizards.
was bummed about it. I'm not saying like he meant to do it.
He was bummed. Yeah, he was bummed.
Oh no, you guys were in a shit situation, obviously. Like he didn't mean to do it.
Random reptiles in the wild and bring him. But
I
like,
think they had names though, if I remember. I don't remember what they were, but they had
They were valued members of the community.
they were. It was a sad day when they left us, went to the higher plane. But just the fact that like he has his own place now and like he's like very much his own boss in all ways, and he has just multiple like I'm not talking about just like tanks, but also like living quarters and things around his house for all of his reptiles
Yes.
is just wild and awesome.
So cool. It's so cool.
That's really cool.
So if there's anything that you take away from this is that Brandon Davis is basically a reptile man.
Yeah, he's an enigma.
So he's like the American Steve Irwin. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like
He
Jack
doesn't-
Cannon, but with just reptiles.
There you go. There you go. That works. So, guys, I really appreciate you being on tonight. And like I said, you guys killed the 2-hour mark. We're almost at 3 hours.
Jesus.
It was a fucking cool time hanging out and talking with you. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry that I wasted 3 hours of your life. You'll never get back. But it was it was very much appreciated. And I saved your addresses because I'm going to send you your shirts because they came in fucking today. And just in the future, when things are back to normal, let's do this again.
Hell yeah.
Please.
You know what I mean? And I'll make sure
Be
that they're
honored.
different beers, so this way we're not drinking the same shit.
You can send me as many of these as you want.
You're a big fan of the Here Kitty Kitty, huh?
I don't like IPAs, but the Nuevo Fresco was also very refreshing.
See, now I know. Lagers and Pilsners to Mr. Marquis, IPAs to Mr. Priest, and then Evan?
IPAs as well, my friend. I really like the Dippo a lot. And the Kitty was great as well.
I was going to send you guys Berliners, which are sours, but I had a bad feeling not a lot of people like sours, number one. And number two, if they get the slightest bit warm, they turn into a fucking IED. So you don't want to deal with that. As soon as you open it, it paints your house, and I would have felt horrible if someone had to like clean afterwards, or their wife lost their shit on them. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make
Thanks for not doing
happy spouse, happy house. That's what I say. So
Yeah.
Amen.
so anything you guys want to close out with?
Thank you.
I'm buzzed.
Yeah.
I am too. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you everyone in chat. Be sure to stay tuned. Make sure you order some INSPIRIT merch off their website. I am ordering joggers tomorrow because I seen Sean and Evan wear them, and I was like, I fucking need those.
Go Sweatsito.
So again, thank you, Sean, Evan, and Chris, and I really look forward to seeing you guys in the future and what everything has to hold.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you
man.
guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Take it easy.